How many times had I endured such cutting remarks? It seemed as though my worth was constantly questioned, my abilities scorned. I had entered into marriage with sincere affection, believing in the promise of happiness together. But as time wore on, that love faded into the ether. Instead, my husband's authoritative demeanor grew more pronounced with each passing day, burdening me even with the care of his own mother. I found myself teetering on the precipice of both physical and emotional exhaustion. If this trajectory persisted, I feared for my sanity. Yet in my darkest moment, an unexpected beacon of support emerged. My own mother-in-law, the very person whose care had become an additional weight on my shoulders. I'm happy to rewrite it for you. My name's Mary Wagner, and I'm 30 years old. After finishing university, I landed a job at a publishing company. However, I bid farewell to my career upon tying the knot, embracing the role of a full-time housewife. Friends often express their envy, assuming I must lead a charmed life. How fortunate you are to be a homemaker. Your husband must be quite successful, they remark. But the truth is, my married life lacks the joy they envision. In fact, it feels more akin to a descent into the depths of despair. The root cause of my unhappiness. My husband Jack. Our paths crossed in the workplace, and after 2 years of courtship, we exchanged vows. Jack, 3 years my senior, possessed a reserved demeanor, and we weren't exactly the epitome of affectionate partners. Nonetheless, I was drawn to his steadfast sense of self and mature demeanor. I envisioned a tranquil, content life together. That was my hope, at least. Once we exchanged vows, Jack's demeanor underwent a stark transformation. Frankly put, he adopted a patriarchal stance. I came to this realization mere days into our marriage. At Jack's behest, I embraced the role of a full-time homemaker, throwing myself into domestic duties from the onset of our union. On that particular evening, I diligently prepared dinner, eagerly awaiting Jack's return. He arrived home a tad after 7 p.m. Upon surveying the meal laid out before him, his voice erupted with dissatisfaction. "What's this?" he barked. "It's a casserole with salad and a side of soup," I responded hesitantly. "Don't toy with me. If you're catering to your weary husband, it ought to be a lavish spread. Your past successes are no excuse. How can you falter at such basic tasks? You're utterly incompetent as a woman. Utterly." "You could have said that differently," I murmur, my troubled expression met with Jack's glare. Suddenly, he hurls the dish of salad to the floor. A startled scream escapes my lips. "What?" "It's because you, as my wife, can't even manage the basics, isn't it?" Jack interjects sharply. I made my expectations clear. There's no need to disrespect the food like that. Shut up. Instead of making excuses, use that deficient brain of yours to consider how to better fulfill your role as my wife, you fool. It's the first time I've been called that. Sure, I've faced reprimands from my parents, arguments with my brother and friends, but never have I been subjected to such cruelty, especially from the man I love. It's only been a few days since our wedding. I never imagined he would react so harshly over a dinner choice. Nevertheless, as a housewife, I remain financially reliant on him. I can't risk defying my husband. As a newlywed, my utmost desire is to avoid upsetting him. Since that incident, I've been tiptoeing around him, careful not to trigger his anger. I meticulously ironed every piece of laundry, prepared the simplest of meals like loaded potato soup, and seasoned side dishes to perfection. Not a single hair must be left on the floor. Under this constant pressure, my nerves fray. Yet his patriarchal control only tightens. "There's a crease in this shirt sleeve. Can't you see?" he berates. "I am sorry. I'll iron it right away," I stammer. "I'm already running late for work." "You're always so slow," he complains. "I'll hurry," I assure him. "You won't have time. You're insufferable in the morning." "How much more do you want to upset me, you incompetent woman?" he snaps. "I'm sorry. Truly deeply sorry. I apologize, my voice trembling." Whenever I erred, I instinctively lowered my head in apology, a practice enforced by my husband. Depending on the gravity of my mistake, the depth of my contrition varied. Sometimes a mere bow would suffice for forgiveness, but for more serious transgressions, kneeling was required. And in moments of repeated mistakes, he would ominously present me with a completed divorce document. It's astonishing how quickly one can become accustomed to such treatment. After a year of enduring this cycle, I began to internalize a sense of utter worthlessness. Yet I couldn't bear the thought of divorce, especially in my current state of unemployment. I couldn't shatter my parents' joy over our marriage by admitting to such a failure. especially not after such a short time. The prospect of enduring perpetual reprimand from my husband filled me with despair for the future. As usual, I was in the midst of preparing dinner, anticipating his return. My daily ritual involved completing the meal by 7 p.m., ensuring it was ready for him to enjoy whenever he arrived. The moment the front door creaked open, I began setting the table. If I failed to finish before he sat down, it would inevitably lead to another round of apologies. Typically, my husband would take his seat in silence, but on this particular day, something felt different. As he loosened his tie, he initiated a conversation. "Mary, we're moving to my parents' house this weekend." I paused, puzzled. "Your parents' house? You mean your mother's place?" He nodded. "Yes, that's correct." "Have everything packed by then?" I couldn't help but inquire, "Why the sudden change, Jack? You've always been adamant about not returning to your parents' house." His icy stare silenced my probing, and after a momentary pause, he spoke. "My mother had a fall, and living independently has become too challenging for her." My concern surged. "We should go to her immediately. She's been in the hospital for a week. We'll move once she's discharged this weekend," he explained. "I understand now," I replied quietly. "But why the sudden change? You've always resisted returning to your parents' home." "Can you guess why?" he remarked with a chilling edge. "I can't deny the allure of potential inheritance," he confessed, his tone betraying a hint of satisfaction. "You see, my father was an ordinary man, but my mother's family is wealthy. She has a substantial amount of money." "What does that have to do with her current situation?" I questioned. His lips curled into a calculating smile. "If I play the devoted son during this ordeal, perhaps I'll be in line for a significant inheritance. If we, as a couple, rush to her side, I'm confident she'll be inclined to bestow the entire inheritance upon us." "Isn't that a bit disrespectful?" I dared to question. "Shut up. You're being supported by me, so just listen quietly," he retorted sharply. "I am sorry," I stammered, cowed by his outburst. The air was thick with tension as his words echoed in the room, leaving me feeling small and powerless. Instinctively, I offered my usual apology. With a triumphant air, he declared, "Listen, from now on, you'll be taking care of my mother. You'll work as a maid in my parents' house for the rest of your life." I faltered at his words. Is that what you mean?" I ventured to ask, but he cut me off sharply. "Don't argue. Who do you think is providing for your current lifestyle? It's all thanks to me, isn't it? Depending on how well you care for my mother, our inheritance could be affected. So don't neglect your duties. Understand?" Pressured to respond, I murmured softly, "Yes." His satisfaction evident, he flashed a smug smile before beginning his meal. Forcing me into the role of caregiver solely for the sake of his mother's inheritance, my husband doesn't regard me as his wife. To him, I'm merely a housemaid. Though I was aware of this truth, hearing it explicitly was a jolt to my senses. Yet I lacked the courage to challenge him. In a way, I felt as though I had been brainwashed, my own aspirations erased. The following day, following my husband's orders, I started packing our belongings. A week later, as directed by him, we relocated to my mother-in-law's residence, coinciding with her discharge from the hospital. On the day of her discharge, Jack didn't show up at the hospital, citing work obligations. Consequently, I was the one accompanying my mother-in-law home. During our journey back, she offered an apology. "Mary, I'm truly sorry. It's because of me that you're going through all of this. Don't worry about it. As a housewife, if I can lend you support while being at home, then nothing could be more important." I reassured her. "Thank you. But are you not bothered by how sudden this all is?" she inquired. "Well, the packing was a bit rushed, I suppose," I admitted. "I can imagine. Even I was taken aback by Jack's decision to move in with us. I wonder what prompted him to do this so abruptly." "Mary, have you heard anything?" she pressed. "No, I haven't heard anything," I replied softly. It wasn't surprising that my mother-in-law found the situation peculiar. Jack had always harbored a dislike for her, often expressing his grievances with remarks like, "She's a nuisance and I'd rather not be around her." Yet he swiftly moved in with her upon her hospitalization, driven by the prospect of her inheritance. To be honest, I was startled by Jack's sudden change in behavior. However, I couldn't bring myself to disclose the truth to my mother-in-law. Striving to maintain composure, I concealed my inner turmoil. Thus began my life as a caregiver, navigating the unfamiliar responsibilities alongside the household chores in the spacious family home. Even amidst our return to his parents' residence, Jack's domineering demeanor remained unchanged, subjecting me to verbal abuse almost daily. In my mother-in-law's absence, there was no respite from the demands of housekeeping and caregiving, and my days were consumed with ceaseless activity from dawn till dusk. This routine persisted for about a month until one day, while I was attending to my mother-in-law's needs, she expressed her concern. "Mary, have you lost weight again?" "No, no, please don't worry about it, Mother," I reassured her. "Are you certain? I noticed the same thing when you first moved in. You seemed much more fatigued compared to when you were newlywed," she remarked. She was correct. Over the course of our year and a half of marriage, I had shed 15 pounds. It wasn't due to skipping meals, but rather a diminished appetite and a lack of leisurely dining time. My mother-in-law discerned the changes in me, ones that even Jack hadn't noticed. Simply that acknowledgement eased some of my loneliness. Wanting to alleviate her concerns, I mustered a smile. "Don't fret over me, Mother. Just sharing these conversations with you each day brings me joy." "Mary, let's steer away from this gloomy talk. Shall I attend to your other hand, Mother?" I suggested, attempting to lighten the mood. "Oh yes, please," she responded. Just as I began to assist her, my phone abruptly rang. "It seems to be Jack," my mother-in-law observed, causing my body to stiffen. Jack insisted I answer his calls promptly. However, with a wet towel in hand, I couldn't respond immediately. Yet I knew any delay would provoke his anger. Utilizing my elbow, I managed to tap the answer button and switched the call to speaker. "Hello," I greeted hesitantly. Instantly, a barrage of angry shouts erupted from the other end of the line. "Hey, don't play games. Why did you answer immediately?" Jack demanded furiously. I'm sorry. I was a bit preoccupied," I stammered, bracing myself for his wrath. "What? A maid should answer on the first ring. But I was occupied and couldn't," I explained. "Didn't I always tell you not to talk back? You're so frustrating. Why are you so incapable?" Jack's voice seethed with anger. I'm sorry," I apologized meekly. "Are you ensuring the old lady is properly cared for? The inheritance hinges on your performance. Do you understand?" he pressed. Being humiliated in front of my mother-in-law filled me with shame. Jack continued to hurl insults, branding me incompetent and bothersome, before abruptly ending the call. Following Jack's tirade, a weighty silence engulfed the room. It was my mother-in-law who broke it. "Mary, was that Jack? Does he always speak to you like that?" Yes, but it's my fault. I am incompetent," I admitted quietly. "What nonsense is that? You're such a kind and wonderful girl, Mary," she reassured me with sincerity. "Mom, I can't ignore this, Mary. It's time to take a stand." "Huh." My mother-in-law then proposed a plan. Following her lead, I gathered all of Jack's belongings and deposited them in the yard before locking the front door. Together, we awaited Jack's return. Several hours passed before we heard noises from the entrance. It was likely Jack, but the locked door remained impassable. Ignoring the intercom's persistent chimes, I followed my mother-in-law's instructions. Eventually, my phone began to ring. It was Jack. Switching the call to speaker, I answered, "Hello." He began shouting immediately, "Hey, stop playing games. Open the front door this instant." "I can't do that." "What? What do you mean?" "This is your mother's directive." Unable to grasp the situation, he continued to shout, "Stop messing around and open it now." In response, my mother-in-law's voice rang out, cold and resolute. "The one who's messing around here is you, you fool." "Mom, I always knew you were distant, but I never imagined you would treat your wife like this." "No, that's not. I sensed something was amiss when you suddenly moved in to exploit your wife and rely on inheritance. How could you lead such a disgraceful existence?" my mother-in-law admonished. "No, that's not true," Jack protested. "What's not true?" "I have no intention of leaving you any inheritance. If you understand, get lost. This is my house. You will never be allowed back in." Flustered by my mother-in-law's accusations, Jack began pounding on the door. Through the phone, I could hear him pleading, "Please, do something. I have an ally in my mother-in-law. I won't be manipulated any longer," I declared with resolve. Addressing Jack firmly over the phone, I stated, "I want a divorce. I can't continue with you any longer." "What? What are you saying?" he exclaimed in disbelief. "Enough. I refuse to remain married to a man like you any longer. I refuse to squander my life. I refuse to sacrifice my own happiness for yours, I declared resolutely. Don't be ridiculous. You can't live without me, Jack protested. There's nothing I can't handle. No matter how difficult it may be, it's preferable to being with you. I will conquer any obstacle. I no longer require your presence in my life. I refuse to tolerate garbage like you, I retorted firmly. With that, I abruptly ended the call and blocked his number. His shouts could be heard from outside, eventually turning into cries of despair. My mother-in-law reported his disturbance to the authorities. Due to his disruptive behavior, he was escorted away by the police. Using the divorce papers he had previously provided, I initiated formal proceedings to end our marriage. Additionally, I pursued legal action against him for the mental and physical anguish he had caused me. With my mother-in-law's support as a witness, the legal proceedings progressed smoothly. After compensating me with a lump sum, Jack's savings were depleted. Furthermore, his employment was terminated by his company upon discovering his police record, relegating him to a lower position. Naturally, my mother-in-law declined to leave her inheritance to Jack. After consulting with a lawyer and honoring my mother-in-law's wish to entrust everything to me, it was agreed that she would transfer approximately $1 million to me annually. I continue to provide care for my mother-in-law in her home. It's the least I can do for her now. Mary, I'm deeply sorry for always burdening you. Even after divorcing Jack, you're still here caring for me. Why do you say that, Mom? I should be the one thanking you. Truly, I feel blessed to have a daughter like you. The feeling is mutual. Let's continue to support each other, all right? My life alongside my mother-in-law is now filled with more joy than I could have imagined. I'll strive to do everything within my power for her until the end of her days.
I always thought finding evidence of cheating would feel dramatic, like catching them in the act, or getting anonymous photos in the mail. Instead, I discovered my fiancé's affair while looking for a recipe we'd saved on his laptop. My name is Kinley, and 3 weeks before my wedding, I was searching through Trey's browser history for a butternut squash soup recipe we'd bookmarked. That's when I saw them. Dozens of intimate Facebook messages between him and Elise from accounting. Baby, I miss your touch. Last night was incredible. Kinley's so focused on work lately, she barely notices. My hands trembled as I scrolled through months of messages, photos, and late-night meetups. The timestamps showed their affair started right after our engagement party. What are you doing? Trey's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway of our home office, coffee mug in hand. How long? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. What are you talking about? He walked over, then froze when he saw the screen. You're snooping through my private messages? Private messages with Elise? Really? I turned the laptop toward him. The same Elise you said was just a work friend when I asked about all those late meetings. It's not what you think. Don't. I held up my hand. Just don't. Look, you've been so cold lately, always staying late at work, talking about that overseas position. So this is my fault? I stood up, my engagement ring suddenly feeling like it was burning my finger. I have needs, Kinley. And lately, you're more married to your career than to me. I slipped off the ring and placed it on his desk. We're not married yet. Thank God, his mother Faith called within the hour. I was in my car, parked outside our favourite coffee shop trying to breathe. Kinley, dear, let's talk about this rationally. Her cultured voice dripped with false concern. Every couple has their challenges before the wedding. He cheated, Faith, for months. Men sometimes stray when they feel neglected. Perhaps if you'd been more attentive, I laughed bitterly. I planned our entire wedding while working full-time. And that's precisely the problem. A wife should prioritise her husband, not her career. Though I suppose this behaviour explains why you're still unmarried at 29. My phone buzzed with another call, my mother. I ignored it. You're damaged goods now, dear, Faith continued. Walking away from this marriage would be foolish. Who else would want you? I ended the call and walked into the coffee shop. My phone kept buzzing, texts from my mother, sister, even my father. Mum. Call me immediately. Faith told me everything. Mara. Don't throw away your future over one mistake. Dad. Your mother's very upset. You need to fix this. I ordered my usual latte and sat in the corner, opening my work email to distract myself. A new message from Sierra, my colleague at the global office, caught my eye. Subject: offer letter attached. It's official. The transfer was approved. Call me ASAP. My hands shook as I downloaded the attachment. There it was. A formal offer for a senior strategy position at our European headquarters. The same position Trey had mocked as a pipe dream. My phone rang again. This time it was my mother. "Have you lost your mind?" she demanded. "Faith called me in tears. He cheated, Mum, multiple times. All men stray sometimes. You're not getting any younger, Kinley. Do you want to die alone? I'd rather be alone than with someone who betrays me. You're being dramatic. Faith assured me Trey will forgive your career obsession if you apologise." "Apologise?" My voice cracked. "For what? Working hard? Having ambition?" "For being difficult. Unmarriageable." No wonder he looked elsewhere. I stared at the offer letter on my screen, something hardening in my chest. "You're right, Mom. I'm unmarriageable now." "Finally, you're seeing sense. I have to go. I have a call with HR about wedding leave cancellation." I hung up before she could respond and opened my email. My fingers flew across the keyboard as I typed. "Dear Sierra, I accept the position. How soon can I start?" My phone lit up with another text from Faith. "I hope you're ready to beg for forgiveness. It's your only chance at happiness." I took a sip of my latte and smiled, whispering to myself, "Go ahead, write my obituary. I'll be too busy writing my success story." "The dress is beautiful," the consignment shop owner said, carefully examining my wedding gown. "And never worn. I can offer you 3,000. Deal." I signed the paperwork quickly, not letting myself look at the intricate beading I'd once been so excited about. My phone buzzed. Another missed call from Mom. I'd been dodging her attempts at intervention for 2 weeks now, playing the part of the devastated almost bride while quietly preparing for my move. The shop owner handed me the check. "Are you sure about this, honey? Sometimes people regret." "I'm sure." I tucked the check into my purse and walked out, straight into my sister Mara. "Seriously?" She gestured at the shop. "You're selling your dress already. What's the point in keeping it? Mum's been trying to reach you for days. Faith invited us all to dinner tonight. She wants to talk things through." I laughed. "There's nothing to talk through." "Don't be stubborn. Faith only wants what's best for you. She says Trey's devastated." "Is that why he's already dating Elise publicly?" Mara shifted uncomfortably. "He's just processing. Faith says..." "Stop telling me what Faith says." Several passers-by turned to look. I lowered my voice. "I'm done listening to Faith." Back at my apartment, I continued packing, carefully labelling boxes for storage or shipping. My phone pinged with a message from Sierra. "Visa approved. Your flat's ready whenever you are. Also, Ray wants to know if you're free for dinner when he's in town next week." Ray Woods, our global CEO, had been surprisingly supportive of my transfer. I'd only met him twice, but his endorsement had fast-tracked my move. The doorbell rang. "Mum." "You're not even dressed," she barged in, eyeing my yoga pants and t-shirt. "Dinner's in an hour." "I'm not going." Faith went to a lot of trouble. "I don't care what trouble Faith went to." I continued taping boxes. She finally noticed the packed apartment. "What's all this?" "Spring cleaning." "Kinley Crawford, stop this nonsense right now. You're acting like a child." "A child?" I straightened up. "A child would cry and beg. A child would believe it when you tell her she's worthless without a ring. I'm doing neither." "No one said you're worthless." "Faith called me damaged goods. You called me unmarriageable. I was trying to help. You're throwing away your whole future over one mistake. My future isn't Trey. Or any man." I handed her a wedding invitation. "You can return this to Faith yourself." That night, I attended Faith's dinner party. Not because I gave in, but because I wanted to see their faces. I wore my best black dress, minimal makeup, and a practiced expression of quiet dignity. Faith held court in her dining room, Trey at her right hand. Elise sat next to him, wearing my old spot, trying too hard to fit in. "Kinley, dear," Faith's smile was razor-sharp. "How brave of you to come." I nodded silently, taking a seat at the far end. Throughout dinner I felt their pitying glances, heard their whispered conversations. Poor thing, she looks terrible. Such a shame. She had such potential. At her age, starting over, I picked at my food, playing the role of the broken ex-fiancé perfectly, until the dining room door opened and a tall figure stepped in. "Sorry I'm late," Ray Wood said, his presence immediately commanding the room. Traffic was terrible. He walked straight to my end of the table. "Kinley, glad I caught you before your big move." Faith's wine glass slipped, splashing red across her pristine tablecloth. Trey's fork clattered against his plate. "Ray," I smiled genuinely for the first time that evening. "I didn't know you'd be here. Wouldn't miss it. We need to discuss your role in the Paris merger." He pulled up a chair beside me, completely ignoring Faith's stammered protests about seating arrangements. "I don't understand," Mara whispered loudly. "What role? What merger?" Ray raised an eyebrow at me. "Haven't you told them about your promotion?" "I wasn't sure who was in my corner," I replied, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Didn't want to seem unmarriageable." Faith's face went pale. Trey couldn't meet my eyes. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something better than revenge. I felt free. Faith cornered me in her powder room after dinner, her perfectly manicured hands gripping the marble counter. "What game are you playing?" "No game," I reapplied my lipstick. "Just living my life. Ray Woods doesn't personally handle transfers for mid-level employees." "Maybe I'm not as mid-level as you thought." I capped my lipstick. "Excuse me." Back in the dining room, my boss Tom was practically tripping over himself to talk to Ray. Just last week, he denied my request for a project lead position, claiming I lacked executive presence. "Kinley," Tom called out. "I've been meaning to discuss that leadership opportunity we talked about." "Too late," Ray cut in smoothly. "She's already accepted a better one. Europe's gain is your loss, Tom." I hid my smile as Tom's face fell. Trey was watching me from across the room, his arm around Elise, but his eyes following my every move. The next morning, Sierra flew in from London. We met at my favourite cafe, the same one where I'd received my offer letter. "You should have seen their faces," I told her, stirring my latte. Faith looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. "Good." Sierra's eyes narrowed. "After what they did, they deserve worse. Speaking of which..." She pulled out her phone. "Ready to plan your farewell dinner?" "Nothing big." "Nope, you don't get a say. You need a proper send-off. I'm thinking that rooftop restaurant downtown, exclusive guest list, lots of champagne, and," she grinned, "one very special guest of honour." "Ray's coming?" "He specifically asked to be included. Said something about making a statement." That evening, my phone lit up with a message from my boss. "Kinley, let's discuss your transition plan. Also, your corner office is ready whenever you want to move in." I showed Sierra the text. She laughed. Amazing how quickly they changed their tune when they realised they backed the wrong horse. "Speaking of horses," I said, "did you see Elise's performance review got leaked?" "Mysteriously leaked," Sierra winked, along with some very interesting emails about how she got her promotion. The farewell dinner was 3 days later. The rooftop glittered with string lights, the city skyline creating a perfect backdrop. I'd invited only true friends, no family, no fake well-wishers. "To new beginnings," Sierra raised her glass, "and to karma being a patient bitch." Everyone laughed, clinking glasses. Ray arrived fashionably late, commanding attention in his casual blazer. "Speech!" someone called out. Ray stood, glass in hand. I don't usually attend farewell parties for employees, but Kinley's different. When I first reviewed her transfer application, I was impressed. When I met her, I was convinced. But when I heard how certain people tried to dim her light, he paused, looking directly at me. "Well, let's just say some people mistake kindness for weakness. Their loss." I blinked back tears as he continued. "To Kinley, proof that the best revenge is massive success." Sierra nudged me. "Smile!" She raised her phone, capturing the moment. Ray with his arm around my shoulders, both of us laughing. Champagne glasses raised. "Perfect for Instagram," she said, typing quickly. Caption, "To the beginning." Later that night, as guests were leaving, Ray pulled me aside. "You know they'll try to stop you," he said quietly. "People like Faith, like your old boss, they hate when someone proves them wrong. Let them try." He smiled. "That's exactly why I hired you. See you in London." I checked my phone on the way home. Sierra's post had blown up, with hundreds of likes and comments. But one caught my eye. "Trey, why is the CEO of Brand Edge holding you like that?" I smiled, remembering Faith's words. "You're damaged goods now, dear." My reply was simple. because he recognises talent when he sees it. Back home, I found a note slipped under my door. Mara's handwriting. "We need to talk. There's something you should know. Something I did." I held the note, feeling the weight of unspoken words. Whatever confession Mara had, whatever new betrayal waited to be revealed, it didn't matter. In 2 weeks, I'd be on a plane to my new life. Let them whisper, let them wonder, let them write me off as unmarriageable. I was done being the girl who needed their approval. Sierra's Instagram posts spread through our social circle like wildfire. By morning, my phone was exploding with messages. Mum. The CEO? What have you done? Faith. How desperate, using your boss for attention. Trey. We need to talk. Now. I ignored them all and headed to work. The office atmosphere had shifted noticeably. People who'd been avoiding eye contact for weeks suddenly wanted to chat. "Is it true you're heading the European expansion?" my co-worker Lisa whispered. "Everyone's talking about that photo with Ray." Before I could answer, Tom appeared at my desk. "Kinley, my office. Now." I followed him, noting how his hands shook slightly as he closed the door. "Why didn't you tell me about your connection to Ray?" he demanded. "You never asked. Too busy telling me I lacked executive presence." He flushed. "That was a misunderstanding. Look, about that project lead position. Still available?" I smiled. "Keep it. I'll be too busy with my global strategy role." My phone buzzed. Trey again. "Missing you. Elise was a mistake. Can we meet?" I deleted it without responding. Another message popped up, this one from Sierra. "Check your email. You'll love this." The subject line read, "Personnel Update, Accounting Department." Elise had been demoted following an internal review. During lunch, Mara called 3 times. I finally answered on the 4th. "Can we talk?" Her voice sounded strained. "There's something I need to confess." "The note you left wasn't dramatic enough?" "Please, Kinley, it's important. Meet me at Riverside Park after work." I agreed, more out of curiosity than sisterly obligation. The afternoon dragged until my phone lit up with a message that made my blood run cold. Faith. "Did you really think you could embarrass my son like this? Wait until people learn how you trapped him into proposing." I screenshot it and sent it to Sierra. "They're getting desperate." Sierra. "Good. Desperate people make mistakes. BTW, that magazine piece we discussed. You're in. They want to feature you in their Women Breaking Barriers series." At 6 p.m, I found Mara sitting on a park bench, looking smaller than usual. "What's this about?" I asked, sitting beside her. She took a deep breath. "Remember when you found those messages on Trey's laptop? Hard to forget. That wasn't the first time you could have found out." I turned to face her fully. "What?" 3 months before, I saw them together, at that bar near his office. Her voice cracked. "They didn't see me, but I saw everything." The world seemed to tilt. "You knew, all that time?" Faith caught me watching them. She pulled me aside and... Mara wiped her eyes. "She offered to pay off my student loans if I helped keep things quiet. Said it would destroy both our families if the wedding was called off." "So you helped them?" My voice sounded distant, strange. "My own sister. I deleted messages from his phone when you borrowed it. Made excuses for his late nights. Faith said I was protecting you." "Protecting me?" I stood up. "You protected him. You protected his mother. You protected your bank account." "I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do. Faith said..." "Stop telling me what Faith said." Several joggers startled at my outburst. "You watched me plan that wedding for months knowing he was cheating. You helped pick out my dress." "Please." She reached for my hand. "I'll do anything to make it right." I pulled away. "There's nothing to make right. We're done." Back home, I opened my laptop and started typing. "Dear editorial team, regarding the Women Breaking Barriers feature, I'd like to share my story. Not just about career advancement, but about choosing yourself when everyone tells you to settle. About recognizing that sometimes the people who claim to protect you are the ones holding you back." My phone pinged with a text from Sierra. "Faith's trying to spin the story. Says you're having a breakdown." I thought about Mara's confession, about Faith's threats, about all the quiet betrayals. "Let her spin," I replied. The truth hits harder. I attached my draft to an email, adding one last line: "Success tastes sweetest when they think you've starved." As I hit send, another message from Trey appeared. "You're making a fool of yourself. Come home. We can fix this." I blocked his number and opened my calendar, marking the days until my flight. 2 weeks. 2 weeks until I left behind the sister who betrayed me, the mother who doubted me, and the man who thought he could break me. Let them think I was having a breakdown. I was actually having a breakthrough. The magazine editor loved my draft. "Raw, real, and relatable," she said over our video call. "We want to run it as our cover story." "When?" I asked, glancing at my calendar. "Next month's issue." "Perfect timing with your move." She paused. "Are you sure about including the personal details? It might ruffle some feathers." "Let them ruffle." After the call, I met Sierra for coffee. She'd flown in again to help with final moving arrangements. "Your sister's been calling me," she said, sliding into our usual booth, crying about how she needs to explain. Nothing to explain. She chose her side. Speaking of sides, Sierra pulled out her phone. "Faith's been busy. Look at this." It was a social media post from Faith, praying for those who let ambition poison their hearts. Success means nothing without family. "Subtle," I snorted. "How's Trey taking the demotion?" Sierra grinned. "Not well. Turns out he's been taking credit for your work for years, without you covering for him. He's showing his true colours. More like drowning in his own incompetence. 3 missed deadlines this week alone." My phone buzzed. "Mom." "Have you completely lost your mind?" she demanded before I could speak. "Faith just told me about this magazine article." "How does Faith know about that? She has friends at the publisher. How could you air our family's dirty laundry like this?" "Our family's dirty laundry?" I laughed. "You mean like how my sister helped cover up my fiancé's affair?" Silence. "Oh," I said. "Did Mara not tell you that part? What are you talking about?" "Ask her about the student loans Faith paid off. Ask her why." I hung up and blocked her number too. Sierra raised an eyebrow. "Brutal." They wanted brutal. They got it. Later that evening, I was packing the last of my books when someone pounded on my door. Mara. "Mum's hysterical," she burst out as soon as I opened the door. "She knows everything. Faith is threatening to sue for defamation. With what evidence? The truth is an absolute defence. You don't understand what she's capable of." Mara grabbed my arm. "She has connections, money." "And I have proof." I pulled away. "Every message, every email, every transaction to your bank account. Want to guess which makes a better story? I was trying to protect you. By taking Faith's blood money. By watching me waste a year of my life planning a wedding to a cheater. You don't know what it's like," Mara's voice cracked. "Being the disappointing daughter. The one who couldn't afford college without loans. The one who wasn't smart enough or ambitious enough. So you sold me out to feel special? To finally be Faith's favourite? She promised to help me start my own business. Said I could be part of their family properly." "Their family?" I laughed bitterly. "The same family that's about to be exposed in a national magazine. Great timing, sis." Mara's phone chimed. Her face went pale as she read the message. "Faith's pulling her investment," she whispered. "She says I failed her. Welcome to the club." "I can't..." Tears streamed down her face. "I can't stay there anymore. Mom keeps screaming. Dad won't look at me. Faith is threatening. That sounds like a you problem. Please." She grabbed my hand. "You're my sister." "No." I pulled away. "I was your sister when you watched Trey cheat. I was your sister when you helped him hide it. I was your sister when you told me to forgive him." I opened my door. Now I'm just the woman you betrayed for a loan payment." After she left, Sierra called. "The article's going to print tomorrow," she said. Ray's added a quote about recognising talent in unexpected places. Faith must be loving that. "Oh, it gets better. Remember that partnership deal Faith's company was chasing? The client saw an advanced copy of your story. And they pulled out. Something about not wanting to associate with toxic workplace cultures." I walked to my window, looking out at the city I'd soon leave behind. "You okay?" Sierra asked softly. "You know what's funny?" I watched a family walking below, parents holding their children's hands. They all thought they were protecting me. Mum, Mara, Faith. They thought they knew what was best for me. And instead, they taught me the most valuable lesson. Sometimes you have to become everything they feared to become everything you're meant to be. Sierra was quiet for a moment. The magazine wants to title your piece Unmarriageable. I smiled. Perfect. The article dropped like a bomb. My phone started buzzing at 6 a.m. with notifications, messages and emails. Unmarriageable. How one woman chose success. Over Silence went viral within hours. I hadn't named names, but anyone who knew us could read between the lines. Rising executive breaks free from toxic engagement. Family pressure to maintain status quo. Systematic cover-up of infidelity. Sierra called while I was making coffee. It's everywhere. Have you seen the comments? I opened the article on my laptop. The comments section was flooded. This resonates so much. Left my fiancé last year after similar manipulation. Finally, someone saying what needs to be said about family loyalty versus self-respect. Can we talk about that mic drop moment with the CEO? Queen behaviour. My work email was equally chaotic. Industry colleagues I'd never met were reaching out. Your story inspired me to apply for that promotion. Thank you for speaking up about workplace dynamics. Would you consider speaking at our Women's Leadership Conference? Around noon, Lisa rushed to my desk. Elise just got escorted out. What? HR finally investigated those harassment complaints. Turns out she's been doing to other women what she did to you, sleeping with their partners, then using office politics to push them out. I thought about all the times Elise had smiled at me in meetings, knowing what she was doing with Trey. My phone buzzed with a text from Sierra. Faith's Boutique just lost another client. Their biggest one. I opened LinkedIn to find my inbox full of connection requests. One message stood out from Faith's former client. Your article resonated deeply. We've been questioning our partnership with certain agencies that don't align with our values. Thank you for your courage. Tom appeared at my desk looking nervous. About your transition plan? Ray wants you to handle the Miller account personally before you leave. The Miller account? That's our biggest client. Ray insisted. Said something about wanting to show them what real leadership looks like. By evening, Saga Unmarriageable was trending locally. Someone had pieced together the real story and created a thread. Local agency owner's son exposed in viral article. Multiple sources confirm workplace harassment pattern. Former fiancé now heading global expansion while ex faces professional review. My doorbell rang. I checked the camera. Trey. Please, he called through the door. We need to talk. No, we don't. Mum's business is falling apart. Your article. Your actions, I corrected. Your choices. Your consequences. I made a mistake. I miss you. Elise meant nothing. Apparently she meant nothing to several people's relationships. He slumped against the door. Everyone's talking. Clients are pulling out. Mom's having anxiety attacks. Please, just tell them it wasn't about us. But it was about us. And your mother. And every person who thought they could break someone and call it protection. My phone lit up with a message from Ray. Saw the article. Perfect timing. Board wants to fast-track your transfer. How soon can you leave? Another notification popped up. An email from the magazine. Response has been overwhelming. Would you consider a follow-up piece about workplace empowerment? Then a text from Sierra. Turn on the local news. Now. I switched on the TV to see Faith outside her boutique, surrounded by reporters. These allegations are completely false, she was saying, but a perfectly curated image was cracking. Her hands shook as she clutched her designer handbag. My son is a victim of a vindictive ex-fiancé who, the reporter cut in. Sources say multiple employees have come forward with similar stories of harassment and cover-ups. Would you care to comment? Through the door, I heard Trey's phone ring. His voice turned panicked. Mum, calm down. No, I didn't know about the other complaints. Yes, I know the board is meeting tomorrow. I don't know why Elise is threatening to talk. I opened my laptop and typed a quick email to Ray. I can leave next week. The sooner the better. His reply came instantly. Perfect. By the way, that article, that's exactly why I hired you. See you in London. A final text came through from an unknown number. You think you've won? We'll see who survives abroad, sweetheart. I showed it to Sierra. Trey's cousin Imran, she said. He works in our London office. Apparently, he's not happy about your arrival. I saved the message as evidence. Let them try their games in London. I wasn't the same woman they thought they could break anymore. I was unmarriageable, unstoppable, and just getting started. The London office's annual networking gala was in full swing when Imran made his move. I'd been there 3 months, successfully avoiding his petty attempts at sabotage. But tonight, he had an audience. Everyone! Everyone! He clinked his glass, slightly drunk. Did you know our new transfer has quite the story? Sierra, who'd flown in for the event, grabbed my arm. Don't react. Let him dig his own grave. Tell them, Kinley, Imran continued. Tell them how you slept your way to the top. How you destroyed my cousin's reputation for revenge. The room went quiet. Ray Wood stepped forward, but I held up my hand. Interesting theory, I said calmly. Though I'm curious, which part upsets you more? That I expose workplace harassment, or that I'm doing your job better than you? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Everyone knew Imran had been passed over for my position. You think you're so clever, he sneered. But we all know why Ray really brought you here. I brought her here, Ray's voice cut through the tension, because while you were busy riding your family connections, she was actually earning her success. He turned to the crowd. Speaking of which, Kinley, shall we announce the Q4 results? Imran's face paled. The quarterly numbers had just come in. My team had outperformed his by 40%. Actually, I smiled, why don't you do the honours, Imran, since you're so interested in my work? He lunged forward, wine sloshing from his glass. You manipulative bit! Security appeared instantly, escorting him out as he shouted obscenities. Phones recorded everything. Well, Sierra grinned, that will make interesting social media fodder. Later that night, in my London apartment, I scrolled through the flood of supportive messages from colleagues. One email caught my eye, from Mara. I moved out, finally. Mum's not speaking to me, but that's probably for the best. I'm staying with Dad's sister for now. She read your article and she gets it. Says she wished she'd been as brave when she was young. P.S. Faith's boutique officially closed last week. I started to delete it, then stopped. Attached was a photo, Mara in a small apartment surrounded by moving boxes. She looked younger somehow, more like the sister I used to know. My phone rang. Sierra. Have you checked your work email? The video of Imran's meltdown reached the board. They're launching an investigation into nepotism in hiring practices. Let me guess. Starting with Faith's referral network? The very one. Oh, and you've been invited to keynote next month's leadership conference. I opened my calendar, then froze. The conference venue seemed familiar. Sierra, isn't this the same place you were supposed to get married? Yep. Poetic, isn't it? A message from Ray popped up. Board wants you to present the new global strategy, ready to show them what real leadership looks like. Another email arrived, from Mom. The subject line read simply, perhaps. Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps strength runs deeper than obedience. Perhaps, no, I'm sorry. Short. Cryptic. Very much my mother's style. But it was something. My doorbell rang. Sydney from HR stood there with a bottle of wine. Heard about the gala drama, she said, walking in. Thought you might need this. We sat on my balcony overlooking the London lights. You know, Sydney said, pouring the wine. When you first arrived, people said you were running away from something. And now? Now they know you are running towards something. Something bigger than their small-town drama. My phone buzzed with another message, from Trey. His first attempt at contact in months. They're dismantling everything Mom built. The network, the connections, everything. Happy now? I showed Sydney, who laughed. Still making it about him, I see. Some people never change. But you did, she raised her glass, to becoming unmarriageable. To becoming unstoppable, I corrected. Later that night, alone on the balcony, I opened my laptop to work on my keynote speech. The cursor blinked at the title. From unmarriageable to unstoppable, how losing everything helped me find myself. My phone lit up with one final message, from Sierra. Ray's hinting at a regional director position opening up. You in? I smiled, thinking of Faith's words all those months ago. Who else would want you? Turns out, quite a lot of people. Just not the ones who tried to break me. The conference hall buzzed with anticipation. Through the backstage curtain, I could see my old wedding venue transformed into something far more meaningful, a celebration of achievement rather than submission. 5 minutes. Sierra squeezed my arm. Ready to face your hometown? Born ready. I smoothed my blazer and checked my presentation notes one last time. The first slide read, "Success is the best revenge." "Kinley?" A familiar voice made me turn. Trey stood there, looking somehow smaller in his ill-fitting suit. "Can we talk?" "Your timing's impeccable as always," I said dryly. "I'm about to go on stage." "Please, just coffee, for closure." Sierra stepped between us. "She's busy becoming everything you said she couldn't be. Take your closure elsewhere." He persisted. "Mom's in therapy. The business is gone. Elise left me for her boss. I've lost everything. Sounds like karma doing her job. I miss you," he tried. "We could start over." "Mr. Harrison," Ray's voice cut through. "This is a restricted area. Security." As Trey was escorted out, Ray turned to me. "Ready to show them what they lost?" I stepped onto the stage to thunderous applause. Familiar faces dotted the audience, former colleagues, old friends, even my father sitting quietly in the back. "Everyone loves a good revenge story," I began. "But this isn't about revenge. It's about resurrection." The presentation flew by. Statistics, success stories, global strategies. But it was the personal touches that held them spellbound. "They called me unmarriageable," I said, nearing the end. "They meant it as an insult. I took it as a challenge." Movement caught my eye. Mom slipped into the back row beside Dad. She looked different, less rigid, more real. Sometimes the people who claim to protect you are actually protecting their own limitations. Sometimes the biggest act of love is walking away. And sometimes, I paused, meeting Mom's eyes, sometimes family isn't about who stays, but who grows with you. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Afterward, at the reception, Ray pulled me aside. "The board's decision was unanimous. Regional executive director position is yours if you want it. When do I start?" "That's my girl." He handed me the offer letter. "Sydney's already preparing your relocation package." A commotion near the bar drew attention. Faith had somehow gotten in, trying to approach various board members. "Just one moment," she pleaded. "I can explain everything. My son, your son," I called out clearly, "is exactly where his choices led him, just like I am." She spun toward me, designer clothes hanging loose on her thinner frame. "You destroyed us." "No, Faith, you destroyed yourselves. I just refused to let you destroy me too." Security appeared again, but Faith had one last shot. "You'll end up alone. No family, no husband." "Actually," Sierra stepped up, "she has both. We're her family now. The kind that celebrates success instead of suffocating it." As Faith was led out, Mom approached hesitantly. "That speech," she said softly, "about growing together. Did you mean what you wrote? About being sorry?" "I'm learning." She twisted her hands. "Your father and I, we're in counselling, trying to understand where we went wrong. That's a start. And Mara, she's going back to school, following your example." Before I could respond, Sydney rushed over with my phone. "You need to see this!" The conference hashtag was trending. Clips of my speech were going viral, but one tweet caught my eye, from Mara. "Watching my sister prove everyone wrong. Maybe being unmarriageable runs in the family. Time to write my own story." The reception wound down into dinner. I sat between Sierra and Sydney, surrounded by my chosen family, when Ray clinked his glass. "A toast," he announced, "to our new regional executive director." Cheers erupted. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of Trey leaving the hotel, alone. "You know what's funny?" I said to Sierra. "They thought making me unmarriageable would break me. Instead, it made me unstoppable." My phone buzzed with the final contract from HR. As I signed it digitally, I remembered Faith's words. Who else would want you? Looking around at my success, my true friends, my healing family, and my brilliant future, I knew the answer. Everyone who matters. I raised my glass. "To being unmarriageable. To being unstoppable," they echoed. And in that moment, surrounded by victory and vindication, I realised sometimes the happy ending isn't a wedding. Sometimes it's walking away and building something better than anyone thought you could. That's not just revenge. That's revolution.
Ha, Juana, Why do you always look so plain? Honestly, thinking that you're my daughter depresses me. And being 38 and still single, what a troublesome existence you are. Troublesome existence? Compared to you, Melissa takes after me. She's truly beautiful and charismatic. It's hard to believe you two were born to the same mother. Maybe you were switched at birth at the hospital, don't you think? But Dad always said I looked just like him. That's true. I should have been more careful when choosing a partner back then. No matter how much money someone makes, marrying a man with such a plain appearance leads to having a daughter as dull as you. Don't talk about Dad that way. Unlike you, Dad always treated Melissa and me equally. Well, you're plain father, and you were two of a kind close buddies, weren't you? But unfortunately, he's no longer here. Now there's no one left to defend you. I can hardly remember being praised by my mother growing up. I have an older sister, 2 years older than me, who is both beautiful and highly intelligent. To my mother, Melissa was her pride and joy, whereas plain and unremarkable me seemed to lack any lovable qualities in her eyes. I'm Juana Price, a 38-year-old single office worker. My sister graduated from a prestigious national university, joined a top-tier company, and married her older colleague at age 28. Her husband, Harrison Green, is a promising elite employee highly regarded in his field. Harrison Green, nice to meet you. Just like my sister, he's flawless, and the two are viewed as an ideal couple, envied by everyone around them. Because Harrison frequently travels for work, spending more than half the year away from home, we've barely had the chance to meet and haven't grown close. My sister gave birth to her first daughter at 33 and had a son at 37. After her maternity leave, she returned to work, balancing her job and childcare seamlessly. Beautiful and diligent, both at work and at home, my sister is someone I deeply admire. That's why, whenever my mother compares us, saying, "You'll never measure up to your sister," I have no choice but to accept it without protest. Still, being ranked by your own mother leaves an indelible scar on a child's heart. My father passed away 7 years ago due to illness. It was just after my sister had given birth to her first daughter. My sister said she was glad our father got to see his grandchild before he passed, as it brought him great joy. People often said I resembled my father as a child. Moreover, my father treated both my sister and me with equal love and care. Melissa was studious from an early age and always sat at her desk as soon as she came home. Studying is fun. When I learn new things, it feels like my mind is expanding. I remember her saying things like that often. On the other hand, I struggled with studying and couldn't seem to retain anything. The idea of my mind expanding made no sense to me. With more knowledge, it feels like the future is opening up. Thinking that way makes the future seem so bright. Though Melissa spoke passionately about it, I couldn't see such a shining future. I never found studying enjoyable, nor did I have the passion for it that she did. Despite this, Melissa always devoted herself to studying at home and excelled in sports outside. She consistently won track and field competitions and served as the anchor in relay races, crossing the finish line first. Watching her, I felt words like gifted in both academics and athletics and beauty with brains were made for her. There's a saying that heaven does not bestow 2 gifts, but observing Melissa, it felt like she had been blessed with not just 2 but everything. So I had resigned myself somewhere along the way, thinking it might be inevitable for my mother to adore my older sister. No matter how hard I tried, I could never measure up to her. My sister was someone I admired, but as people around us often compared us with remarks like, "Even though you're sisters," it gradually became awkward to be around her. Though our relationship wasn't hostile, we weren't especially close either. Her talent and achievements were so overwhelming that she seemed like someone from another dimension to me. As I grew older, I began to think that comparing us was pointless. Even so, my heart was repeatedly wounded by the blatant sarcasm my mother would throw my way. No matter how much you try to get used to criticism or comparisons, it's something you can never truly adapt to. "Mom, Could you stop comparing me to Juana? We're different people. You're right, my bad. But can you blame me? The difference is just so obvious. I can see why you would feel upset, Melissa. Sometimes, when my mother would make sarcastic remarks, my sister would step in to defend me. But even her words sounded to me like, "Stop comparing me to someone like her." When you have an exceptionally talented sister, no matter how much you try not to think about it, a sense of inferiority inevitably takes root in some corner of your heart. No matter where I went, people would say, "Your sister is so and so," constantly comparing us. It was only natural that this would happen. And my mother, as if enjoying these comparisons, would keep adding fuel to the fire. "Juana really takes after your father, unlike you, Melissa." When my mother laughed while saying this, I felt an inexplicable discomfort. Being told I resembled my father made me happy. I loved my father dearly. But the tone in my mother's words carried a hint of disdain toward my father, and that was something I couldn't stand. In such moments, my father always came to my defense. "Hey, enough already. Both of them are our precious daughters. Melissa has her strengths, and so does Juana." "Juana's strengths? I have no idea where those are, though." I said, "Stop it." Even though my father rarely raised his voice, these exchanges became a routine part of our household. After my father passed away, we decided to let go of the family home. The house was old, built by my father's grandfather, and was in disrepair. The windows wouldn't close properly, the second floor visibly slanted to the point where a ball would roll on its own. The floors creaked with every step, and it felt like it was only a matter of time before they gave way. Everyone agreed it was difficult to continue living there without major renovations. So we concluded it was better to sell the house and use the money to secure a new home. Though the house held many memories, my father had once jokingly said, "This house has reached its limit," so I believed he would have supported our decision. At the time, my sister and her husband were living in a rented apartment, but a plan emerged to use the proceeds from the house sale and their savings to build a two-family home for everyone to live in together. My sister offered me a choice, saying, "We can divide the money from the sale, and if you want to live alone, that's fine too." But my mother insisted strongly that we should build a two-family home. Under that pressure, both my sister's family and I ended up agreeing to her suggestion. Although I felt a desire to distance myself from my mother, I also felt uncertain about living alone for the first time. As I wavered, my brother-in-law reassured me, saying, "I travel a lot for work, so it would be a relief to have you around, Juana." My sister added, "I plan to continue working too, so having you here would really help." Unsure whether their words were sincere or just polite, I still felt somewhat happy to think they needed me. Thus, I decided to move into the new house and live with them. On the other hand, my mother blatantly said things like, "Honestly, the house would feel more spacious without Juana." Well, at best, she might be useful for babysitting. However, since my sister and her husband agreed to let me live with them, my mother didn't oppose the arrangement any further. Since my brother-in-law's parents had already passed away, no one objected to my sister's family living with us, so the plan moved forward smoothly. Now I live in the new house as a single woman. It seems my mother isn't too happy with this situation. "How long do you plan to keep relying on your family home?" She's asked me this question multiple times, but I managed to brush it off. My mother's sarcastic remarks are so routine that taking them seriously would be endless. Besides, my sister's children are absolutely adorable. My 7-year-old niece, Sarah, and 3-year-old nephew, Sammy, call me Aunt Juana and are very attached to me. When my sister works late, I sometimes pick them up from daycare. Seeing their excited faces as they run toward me always warms my heart. This year, Sarah started elementary school, and while I miss seeing her sweet little face light up like that, I feel comforted knowing Sammy is still young, and I can enjoy these moments with him for a while longer. So, you're 38 this year? When do you plan on getting married? I don't have any plans at the moment. Do you really think you can get married with that face? Honestly, it's hopeless. Marriage isn't everything, and I'm holding down a steady job. Don't act so high and mighty just because you work at some third-rate company. I'm not acting high and mighty. I can't stand seeing someone as plain-looking as you hanging around. Honestly, I wish you'd just disappear. Do you really have to say all that? Sarah and Sammy are so adorable, taking after Melissa. But with you here, I worry your looks might somehow rub off on them. Even though my mother doesn't spend much time with her grandchildren, she brings them up just to criticize me. Honestly, I sometimes wonder if continuing to live with my sister's family at 38 is the right thing to do. Maybe I should start living on my own. While I was considering this, my sister told me she was expecting her third child. Both my sister and brother-in-law, as well as the kids, were overjoyed. A third one, huh? Though my brother-in-law, like my sister, doesn't show his emotions much, he looked genuinely happy about the news. I felt happy for them too, but my mother's snide remarks intensified as a result. You're really just aging without contributing anything, aren't you? You're just wasting time getting older. I'm not exactly causing you any trouble, am I? You can't get married or have kids. Meanwhile, Melissa is already on her third child. People like you, who just grow older without producing anything, are nothing but a nuisance. Hurry up and leave. What? Sigh. Juana, why are you so plain looking? Honestly, thinking of you as my daughter depresses me. And to still be single at 38, it's truly troubling. Troubling. What does that even mean? In contrast, Melissa is so beautiful and radiant, just like me. It's hard to believe you both came from the same mother. Maybe you were switched at birth in the hospital or something. But Dad always said I look like him. That's true. I should have been more careful when choosing a partner back then. No matter how much money he made, marrying a man who looks like that is why I ended up with such a plain daughter. Don't talk about Dad like that. Unlike you, Dad treated Melissa and me equally. Well, you and your ugly father were always close, weren't you? But unfortunately he's gone now, and there's no one left to defend you. I couldn't believe how my mother spoke so gleefully about my father's death. And as if to twist the knife further, she continued, You don't understand unless it's spelled out, do you? Not only are you ugly, but you're also dumb and inconsiderate. You don't have to say it like that. If I don't say it, you won't get it. Even Melissa always says having someone like you in the house is a nuisance. Is that true? It's the truth. The fact that you don't even realize it just proves how hopeless you are. While I didn't fully believe my mother's words, I couldn't help but wonder in the back of my mind. If my sister really felt that way, it would deeply hurt me. Although I wasn't entirely free of insecurities around my sister, I thought we had managed to maintain a comfortable distance and a good relationship. I considered asking her about it, but something held me back. Perhaps it would be better to leave quietly rather than confirm it outright. After all, this wasn't really my home anymore. It felt more like my sister and her husband's house. It was only natural for both my mother and my sister to see my prolonged stay here as inconvenient. That day, I finally resolved to leave the house. But when I returned from work, my belongings were carelessly piled by the front door. What's going on here? Since you wouldn't leave, I decided to put your stuff outside. That's awful. You didn't have to do this. Well, you clearly don't get it when I say it, so I had no choice. Looking at my scattered clothes, I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I felt pathetic and ashamed, picking up my things while wondering what I was doing with my life. At that moment, my sister arrived home with my nephew and niece. She must have picked them up from daycare and after-school care on her way back from work. Seeing me gathering my clothes, my sister looked at me coldly. What is this situation? The kids also stared at me, puzzled. My sister's gaze felt like it pierced through me, making me feel even more wretched. See, isn't it better without Juana around? She's nothing but a burden. A burden. She's already old enough, yet she can't get married, can't have kids, and works at a third-rate company. She's completely worthless. Just having her here is a waste of time and money." Hearing my mother's words, my sister turned her eyes toward me. Suddenly, my niece came over and started helping me pick up my clothes. "Aunt Juana." "What are you doing, Sarah? You don't need to do that." "Stop it. Pretty girls don't do things like that. Leave the garbage picking to the ugly ones." Despite the presence of my niece and nephew, I was on the verge of tears. "Are you okay?" "I see. So that's how it is." My sister watched the scene unfold with a stern expression. Her silence made me wonder if she, too, saw me in this light. The thought made me feel even more miserable. I bit my lip in regret, thinking I should have left the house much earlier. "Melissa, you feel the same way, don't you? I'm not needed in this family, am I? If people without productivity aren't needed, then I feel the same way," my sister said. Hearing her words, my mother reacted with delight. I struggled to hold back the tears that were threatening to spill. I felt that crying now would only make me feel even more pathetic. Exactly. Anyone wasting money should leave. Someone wasting money, huh? "Then why don't you leave, Mom?" "What?" Even my mother was shocked, and for a moment I couldn't understand what my sister had said. I thought I must have misheard her and found myself staring at my sister's face. She met my eyes and smiled warmly. It was clear she had meant exactly what she said. My mother looked bewildered, seemingly even more confused by my sister's words than I was. "Mom, didn't you hear me?" "Wait a minute. What are you saying?" "It's supposed to be Juana who leaves." My sister calmly set Sammy down from her arms. Then she looked at Sarah and asked her to take Sammy to their room. Sarah nodded with a sweet smile. "Come on, Sammy, let's go." She cheerfully took his hand and led him into the house. After watching them leave, my sister spoke. "You said it yourself, Mom. People without productivity should leave. That describes you, doesn't it? Are you joking? I'm your mother. I gave birth to you. And what are you doing now? Wasting money, just eating and sleeping. Where's the productivity in that?" My sister's words left my mother wide-eyed with shock. She looked almost cartoonish, her eyes bulging as if they might pop out. "You don't help take care of the kids, you don't assist with picking them up from daycare, and you don't do any housework. All of that has been done by Juana. Without her, I would have been completely lost." "Sis, that's just because she's a freeloader, isn't it?" "Mom, you're a freeloader too. Juana pays her share of living expenses every month, but you use all your pension on yourself and don't contribute to utilities or groceries. I'm your parent. It's the children's responsibility to take care of their parents. And besides, the money to build this house came from selling your father's house. That gives me the right to live here. It's useless to argue that. When we sold the family home, you claimed half as your inheritance. But this house was built entirely with the rest of the inheritance and my savings. Juana's rightful share was also used for this house, which gives her the right to live here. You, Mom, who didn't put in a single cent, don't have that right." "What?" Indeed, when the family home was sold, there had been a discussion about dividing the inheritance. But I had assumed the money was used to build the new house. At the time, my sister had offered to give me my share, but I chose not to take it, thinking it was better used for the house. It seemed natural to me, and I had assumed my mother thought the same. After all, she had been so adamant about building a two-family home. That's right. Dad's inheritance was divided, with half going to Mom and the rest split between Juana and me. So, half of it is mine. But Mom, this house was built with the remaining inheritance and our savings. That includes the share Juana should have received. So Juana has every right to live here. You, who didn't contribute a single dollar, don't." "What?" "Mom, you claimed the entire inheritance as your share and didn't contribute to building this house. That means you have no right to live here. So, shouldn't it be you who leaves?" It seemed my sister's words finally sank in, as my mother's face gradually turned pale. She never imagined my sister would say something like this. My mother had always cherished my sister, firmly believing she would always take her side no matter what. To be honest, I was just as surprised as my mother to hear my sister speak this way. But upon reflection, it felt very much like something my sister would do. Since childhood, she had always approached things objectively, without letting emotions cloud her judgment. Her expressions rarely betrayed her feelings, making her emotions difficult to read, but she always made logical decisions. I remember hearing about how, as a middle schooler, she witnessed bullying and used her reasoning skills to thoroughly defeat the bully in an argument. People around her sometimes described her as cold and calculating. Even so, I had always been proud of her. Seeing her unchanged after all these years, I felt a deep sense of admiration. What? Are you planning to kick your own mother out? Have you forgotten everything I've done for you? Everything you've done? All you ever did was parade me around to show off. I was nothing more than a tool for your self-satisfaction. Hearing my sister's words, I realized she, too, had been harboring deep feelings about our mother. I used to envy how my sister always went out with our mother, but she had never seemed to enjoy herself. It wasn't that our mother adored her to our mother, my sister was simply a trophy to flaunt. Even so, I've kept quiet because you're our mother. But Juana is also my beloved sister, and she's family. I believe family members should support each other. Hearing my sister's words warmed my heart, and I felt tears welling up. Knowing my sister thought of me this way filled me with joy. She truly was someone I could be proud of. Besides, Sarah is in elementary school now and understands more than you think. Having someone like you around would only have a negative impact on her, so you need to leave. What? Are you serious? Yes, I've reached my limit. It's not good for me or the baby to keep enduring this. Where am I supposed to go? My sister cast a single glance at my mother and walked past her without a word. My mother sank to the floor. As I quietly tried to pass her, she suddenly grabbed my leg. Even you're abandoning me? Who do you think raised you to this point? You're not. What? You're not my parent. My only parent was Dad. With that, I walked into the house. My mother stared at our backs in stunned silence. Later, my mother tried to speak to my sister in a gentler tone, but my sister completely ignored her, acting as though she didn't even exist. Eventually, my sister told the kids, "Grandma is leaving." Yay. That's great. What? Well, Grandma was always mean to Aunt Juana. I didn't like her. Sarah said this cheerfully, laughing. Hearing her words, my mother seemed even more frozen in place. Children are incredibly perceptive, I thought once again. Afterward, my mother began living alone in a small, run-down apartment behind the train station. My sister quickly found an apartment and moved my mother's belongings out in no time. I was impressed by her swift and decisive actions. However, my sister is the one paying for the rent of that apartment. You would think my mother would at least be grateful for that, but she doesn't seem to feel any gratitude at all. Apparently, over the past 7 years, my mother had spent all the money from the sale of the house. I had felt something was off about her lavish lifestyle, wondering if my sister was giving her some financial support. But that wasn't the case. She probably thought she could spend her savings freely because my sister was covering her living expenses. She had racked up considerable credit card debt, so her monthly payments were quite significant. Most of her pension went toward paying off those debts, leaving her in a tough financial spot. She had asked my sister multiple times to let her move back, but my sister refused. She even called me asking to borrow money, but I, of course, declined. Since then, I stopped communicating with her. One day, I spotted my mother working part-time at a supermarket. When she noticed me, she approached and demanded money. Seeing her still energetic reassured me in a strange way. It seemed she wasn't well liked at her part-time job due to her bossy attitude, and she lived a quiet life in her apartment with no friends visiting her. That was likely the last time I would see her. 2 years later, I got married and moved out. Afterward, my sister and her husband gave me the full amount of money from the sale of our father's house. My sister explained that they had saved it so they could return my share when I got married. Initially, I said I didn't need it since I had relied on their home for so long. But my sister insisted, saying that because I had always contributed to household expenses, I deserved to have the money back. Once again, I felt so grateful to have such an amazing sister. A year later, I gave birth to twin daughters. I remained close with my sister and her family. Her third child was a boy. Her 3 kids adored my twins as if they were their own little sisters. I truly hope we can continue to maintain this loving and close relationship for many years to come.
The first thing I noticed when I woke up was the beeping. Not the pain. That came later, crashing through the fog like a tidal wave. But that steady, mechanical rhythm told me I was alive before anything else did. My name is Cecilia, and I shouldn't have survived that crash. The doctors said as much when they thought I was sleeping. Head-on collision, multiple fractures, internal bleeding, the works. But somehow, I did survive. Sometimes I wonder if that was the universe's first cruel joke. "Oh, sweetheart, you're awake!" My mother's voice carried that artificial sweetness she reserved for public appearances. She squeezed my hand, careful to avoid the IV lines. "We've been so worried." I tried to speak, but my throat felt like sandpaper. A nurse appeared with ice chips, blessing her. The insurance adjuster called again, my father said from somewhere near the window. "They're processing the settlement faster than usual, given the circumstances." "Not now, Randy," Mom hissed. I managed to croak out, "How much?" "Don't worry about that right now, dear." Mom patted my hand. "Focus on getting better. The doctors say you'll need extensive rehabilitation." Something in her tone made my skin prickle. I'd worked in finance before the crash. I knew about insurance settlements. This should be straightforward. "I want to know," I insisted. "Rest now," Mom said firmly. "Oh, did I tell you Kaya made it into the Harbor Heights Yacht Club, the youngest member this season?" My sister, of course. Even with me half dead in a hospital bed, the conversation had to turn to Kaya. The days blurred together after that. Physical therapy sessions that left me crying, doctors with concerned faces, nurses who became my only honest companions. My parents visited daily, but something felt off. They deflected questions about finances, changed subjects when I mentioned rehabilitation facilities. It was during one of those hazy nights, when pain meds couldn't quite pull me under, that I heard them in my room. They thought I was sleeping. "She's going to find out eventually, Lindsay," Dad whispered. "By then it won't matter." Mom's voice was steel. The club membership was non-refundable. Besides, Kaya needs this for her future. What's Cecilia going to do with that money anyway? She'll be lucky if she ever walks properly again. My heart stopped. The settlement money, my settlement money. It was meant for her care. And what better care than knowing her sister has a secure future? Cecilia always was the practical one. She'll understand. I kept my breathing steady, fighting the urge to scream. With trembling fingers, I reached for my tablet on the bedside table. 3 taps to open the voice recorder app. Thank God for muscle memory. "The full amount?" Dad asked. "Most of it. I left enough in her account to avoid suspicion. Kaya's already making wonderful connections at the club. The Andersons' son has taken quite an interest in her. If the insurance company investigates, they won't. It's all perfectly legal. We have power of attorney while she's incapacitated. I'm protecting this family's future, Randy. One of our daughters still has a chance at a normal life." I recorded every word, tears sliding silently down my face. In that moment, something inside me hardened. They thought I was broken, helpless, disposable. They saw my tragedy as their opportunity. The next morning, I smiled when they visited, played the good, brave daughter. But under my blanket, my fingers were already typing a message to Vincent, my ex from law school. Remember when you said I was too trusting, too willing to give people the benefit of the doubt? You were right. I need your help. The response came within minutes. What happened? I attached the audio file and added, "They stole my future to buy my sister a yacht club membership. Help me make them pay." As I hit send, Mom breezed in with a fashion magazine for Kaya's latest social photos. "Look who's made the society pages," she trilled. I smiled wider, already imagining her face when everything came crashing down. "How wonderful," I said. "Tell me all about it." Sometimes the best revenge starts with playing the perfect victim, and I had nothing but time to play my part. "Oh my God, Cece, you should see the sunset from the marina." Kaya twirled into my hospital room, her designer sundress floating around her like a cloud. "It's absolutely magical. I can't believe I waited this long to join." I forced a smile, watching her drop shopping bags onto the visitor's chair. "Sounds amazing. How much was the membership fee again?" "Don't be boring," she laughed, pulling out a champagne-colored blazer. "Look what I got for the summer gala. The Andersons are hosting, and Trevor specifically asked if I was coming." My physical therapist, Sophie, chose that moment to walk in. "Ready for our session, Cecilia?" "Can't you do it later?" Kaya pouted. "I barely get to see her anymore." Sophie's expression remained professional, but I caught the slight tightening around her eyes. Recovery doesn't wait for social calls. "Fine, fine." Kaya gathered her bags. "Oh, by the way, Mom said to tell you they're handling all the boring insurance stuff, so don't stress about it." She air-kissed my cheek. "Love you." The moment she left, I grabbed my phone. "Sophie, can you help me sit up? I need to check something." She assisted me while I logged into my bank account. The numbers on the screen made my vision blur. Where there should have been 6 figures, I saw barely enough to cover a month's rent. "Are you okay?" Sophie asked, noticing my hands shake. "They took it," I whispered. "Almost all of it. The settlement money meant for my rehabilitation. They spent it on her." Sophie's face darkened. "That's not legal. They have power of attorney." I laughed bitterly. Mom made sure of that while I was still unconscious. My phone buzzed. A message from Vincent. "Met with a friend. He's interested in your situation. Can you talk?" "Sophie," I said carefully, "if I asked you to help me with something not exactly part of your job description." She sat on the edge of my bed. "Does it involve exposing what they did?" I nodded. "Good. I've watched enough rich parents play favorites to last a lifetime. What do you need?" I dialed Vincent's number, putting it on speaker. He answered immediately. "Cecilia, is someone with you?" "My physical therapist, Sophie. She's trustworthy." "Okay, listen. I talked to Ulysses. He's a journalist friend who specializes in financial fraud stories. He's very interested, but we need more evidence." "I have the recording," I said. "We need paper trails, emails, anything showing the money transfer patterns, and witnesses would help." Sophie leaned forward. "I can document her rehabilitation needs and costs. Show what the settlement should have covered." "Perfect," Vincent said. "But be careful. These cases get ugly fast." As if on cue, my mother swept in. Sophie quickly ended the call. "Darling, good news." Mom's smile was radiant. "Kaya's being featured in the Harbor Heights newsletter. They're doing a piece on young members revitalizing the club." "That's wonderful," I said, matching her tone. "Must be expensive maintaining that lifestyle." Her smile flickered. "We manage. Now about your discharge planning." "Actually," Sophie interrupted, "Cecilia needs another round of pain medication before we discuss that." Hospital policy. Mom's nose wrinkled at being dismissed by staff, but she left with a promise to return later. "Quick thinking," I told Sophie. "I've got your back." She helped me lie down. "But Cecilia, are you sure you want to do this? It could tear your family apart." I thought about Kaya's casual display of wealth bought with my future, about Mom's dismissal of my recovery needs, about Dad's weak protests that changed nothing. They tore it apart the moment they decided I was disposable. That night, I sent Vincent everything I could access: bank statements, power of attorney documents, text messages. Then I composed a new email to Ulysses. Mr. Lee, I understand you're interested in stories about financial abuse within wealthy families. I have evidence of parents defrauding their disabled daughter to maintain their younger daughter's social status. Would you like to hear more? His response came within minutes. Call me tomorrow at 9 a.m. If you're serious, I might know someone who can help make this very public. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the familiar beeping of monitors. Soon, they'd learn that being bedridden didn't make me powerless. It just gave me time to plan. My phone lit up with a text from Kaya. The Andersons invited me to their summer house. Mom says we need to go shopping for new outfits. I smiled in the darkness. Enjoy it while it lasts, little sister. The higher you climb, the harder you'll fall. Remember when you won that national science fair? Sophie asked, helping me with my exercises. Your mom showed me the photo yesterday. You looked so proud. Ah, yes, my shining moment. I grimaced, both from the physical strain and the memory. Want to know what happened after that photo was taken? Tell me. Mom spent the entire celebration dinner talking about how Kaya had been approached by a modeling agency. My scholarship announcement became a footnote. Sophie helped me sit up. That must have hurt. You get used to it. I was the smart one, meant to reflect well on the family name. Kaya was the pretty one, meant to advance it. My phone buzzed. Ulysses was calling. I put it on speaker. Cecilia, I've been reviewing what you sent. This goes deeper than just the settlement money. What do you mean? Your parents have a pattern. That science fair scholarship you won, it was deposited into a joint account with your sister's name on it. Same with your graduation money, inheritance from your grandmother. My hands clenched. How far back? At least 6 years. They've been funneling your achievements into Kaya's social climbing since she was 13. Sophie swore under her breath. There's more, Ulysses continued. Your father's company has some interesting tax write-offs related to dependent care that don't match your actual medical expenses. A knock at the door made us freeze. Vincent walked in, carrying a laptop. Sorry I'm late, he said, closing the door. Had to dodge your mother in the parking lot. She's coming up with more magazines for you. Ulysses, I'll call you back, I said quickly. Vincent set up his laptop. We need to talk strategy. They're getting suspicious. Your father asked about my visit yesterday. Then we move faster. I shifted in bed, ignoring the pain. Sophie's been helping me play up memory issues during their visits. They think the crash affected my cognitive function. Smart, Vincent nodded. They won't expect. The door opened. Mom breezed in, Kaya trailing behind her. Look who stopped by, Mom announced. Kaya just had the most wonderful lunch with the club directors. They're considering me for the youth leadership committee, Kaya gushed. Can you believe it? Vincent caught my eye. I gave him a slight nod. That's impressive, he said smoothly. Must be expensive, though, all those events and outfits. Oh, we manage, Mom said quickly. Vincent, dear, shouldn't you be getting back to your studies? Actually, I cut in, Vincent's helping me review some paperwork, medical stuff. My memory's still fuzzy about the accident. Mom's smile tightened. No need to strain yourself with that. We're handling everything. Like you handled my science fair scholarship? The room went silent. Kaya looked confused. What scholarship? Nothing, dear, Mom said sharply. Cecilia's confused again. The doctors mentioned this might happen. Sophie stepped forward. Actually, her memory's been quite clear about certain things. Mom's eyes narrowed at Sophie. I think we need to discuss changing physical therapists. Someone more professional. That won't be necessary, I said, reaching for my phone. I recorded something interesting last night. Would you like to hear it? Mom froze. What are you talking about? I pressed play. Her voice filled the room. She won't live the same way again anyway. Might as well use it for someone who matters. Kaya's face went white. Mom? What does she mean? It's not what you think, Mom started. Get out. My voice was ice. All of you, except Sophie. They left, Mom practically dragging Kaya, Vincent giving me a supportive nod. Once the door closed, I let out a shaky breath. You okay? Sophie asked. No. I wiped my eyes. But I will be. Call Ulysses back. Tell him to start writing. That night, alone in my hospital room, I received a text from Kaya. Is it true? Did they take your money for my club membership? I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Ask them about the science fair scholarship. Ask about Grandma's inheritance. Ask about every achievement of mine that mysteriously turned into your new opportunities. She didn't respond. Sophie came in for a late check. Your mom called the hospital administration, tried to have me removed from your care. What happened? They reviewed the recording you made of her threatening me. She's been banned from interfering with medical staff. I smiled. First domino falls. You're playing a dangerous game, Sophie warned. No, I corrected her. I'm just done playing their game. I picked up my phone to text Ulysses. Time to show them how it feels to lose everything they thought they were entitled to. The monitor kept its steady rhythm, marking time until the next move. In the darkness, I finally felt powerful again. Hold the camera higher, Sophie whispered, steadying me as I positioned the tiny device on my bookshelf. We need a clear view of the entire room. I was finally home. Well, in my childhood bedroom turned recovery space. The familiar walls felt like a prison, but they'd serve their purpose. Are you sure about this? Sophie adjusted my pillows. Hidden cameras are a big step. They only talk freely when they think I'm drugged or sleeping. I checked the feed on my tablet. Perfect angle. Vincent arrived that afternoon with more equipment and news. Ulysses is ready. He's got enough for the first article, but he's holding off until we have more concrete evidence. A commotion downstairs interrupted us. Kaya's voice carried up the stairs, accompanied by multiple excited voices. Pre-party gathering, I explained. She's hosting some yacht club event tonight. Vincent raised an eyebrow. Convenient timing. We watched on my tablet as young socialites filled our living room. Kaya stood in the center, resplendent in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly physical therapy. Everyone, please follow my social media. Kaya's voice came clearly through our feed. I'm going live from the yacht party later. Mum appeared, all perfect makeup and practiced charm. Kaya, darling, perhaps tone down the social media tonight with your sister's condition. Oh, please, Kaya rolled her eyes. It's not like Cecilia can see it from up there anyway. Besides, this is important for my influencer career. Sophie squeezed my hand as we listened. The party moved to the yacht club, but we kept monitoring Kaya's live stream. She was in her element, surrounded by wealth and adoration. Speaking of family, one guest asked on camera, how's your sister doing? Kaya's face fell in perfectly practiced concern. It's been so hard, but you know everything happens for a reason. Like, her accident helped our family make some important changes. I feel so bad for her, but at least it helped someone. Vincent swore under his breath. Is she seriously... Record everything, I said quietly. The comments section exploded. What does she mean it helped someone? Did she just thank her sister's accident? Rich people are wild. Ulysses called within minutes. Are you watching this? Every second. I'm publishing tomorrow. This is too perfect. Her own words, completely unprompted. The article's titled, The Price of Privilege, How One Family Sacrificed Their Disabled Daughter. Use the recordings, I said, all of them. The story broke at midnight. By morning it was trending. Mom burst into my room, face livid. What have you done? Me? I blinked innocently. I've been right here, remember? Barely cognitive, according to you. These lies, these accusations, are they lies? I held up my phone. Should we ask the insurance investigator? He's been very interested in Dad's creative accounting. The color drained from her face. You ungrateful... Mom! Kaya appeared in the doorway, mascara streaked down her face. The Andersons just uninvited me from their summer house. My followers are calling me trust fund vulture. How could you let this happen? Let this happen? I laughed. She didn't let it happen, Kaya. She made it happen. Every stolen dollar, every diverted opportunity. I did what was best for this family, Mom snapped. You did what was best for your image, I corrected. And now everyone sees it. My phone buzzed. Ulysses again. Check your email. Insurance investigator wants to meet. Officially. Mom's phone chimed too. Her face went ashen as she read. The club board, she whispered. They're reviewing our membership. Kaya crumpled against the wall. This can't be happening. Karma's funny that way, I said. By the way, those security cameras Dad installed last month, they record audio too. Every conversation, every admission, every plan you made while standing over my hospital bed. You were supposed to be sleeping, Mom said weakly. I was supposed to be a lot of things. Your daughter, for one. Sophie appeared with my medication. Time for your rest, Cecilia. I'll have to ask everyone to leave. They shuffled out, broken and bewildered. In the hallway, I heard Kaya sob, What are we going to do? We'll fix this, Mom said desperately. We always fix things. I turned to Vincent, who'd watched silently from the corner. Not this time, I said. Some things can't be fixed with stolen money. He nodded grimly. Ready for phase 2? I looked at my tablet, where Kaya's yacht party video was still trending, now with a very different kind of attention. They wanted a social media presence, I said. Let's give them one they'll never forget. Your parents listed your medical expenses as business deductions, Finn said, spreading documents across my bedside table. They claimed your care as a corporate liability while simultaneously using your settlement for personal expenses. The insurance investigator had arrived early, his weathered face showing no emotion as he laid out their fraud. That's tax evasion, Vincent said from his corner chair. Among other things. Finn looked at me directly. You weren't supposed to see this money vanish, were you? They thought I was too damaged to notice, I replied. A commotion erupted downstairs. Kaya's voice carried up, shrill and panicked. Mom, the country club just called. They're suspending our membership pending investigation. Finn raised an eyebrow. Sounds like the dominoes are falling. Sophie entered with my afternoon medications, her face grim. Your father's company called. They've put him on administrative leave. The board received an anonymous tip about financial irregularities, Finn explained. Funny timing. I swallowed my pills, watching the chaos unfold through the security feed on my tablet. Mom paced the living room, phone pressed to her ear. This is ridiculous, Margaret, she was saying. We've been members for years. No, you don't understand. The media is twisting everything. Kaya sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone with trembling hands. My followers are dropping by the thousands. All my sponsorships are pulling out. Ms. Henderson, Finn drew my attention back. We'll need your official statement. I'll give you everything, I said. The recordings, the bank statements, The door burst open. Dad stood there, face ashen. The board knows everything about the tax fraud, the misappropriated funds. Lindsay, what did you do? Mom appeared behind him. What did I do? You signed every document? You approved every transfer? Because you said it was for Cecilia's care. It was for this family's future. Finn calmly gathered his documents. I think I have everything I need. Expect formal charges by the end of the week. Charges? Mom's voice cracked. You can't be serious. Fraud, Tax evasion, misappropriation of insurance funds. Finn listed. Would you like me to continue? Get out, Mom screamed. All of you. Actually, Sophie interjected, as Cecilia's medical caregiver, I have to ask you to leave. This stress isn't good for her recovery. Once they left, I let out a shaky breath. Vincent squeezed my hand. You okay? No. I watched the tablet as my family imploded downstairs. But I will be. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Prominent family under investigation. Daughter's accident settlement fraudulently used for luxury lifestyle. The comments were brutal. Rich people eating their own. Imagine stealing from your disabled daughter. Country club karma. Another buzz. A text from Ulysses. Stories exploding. Every major outlet is picking it up. Your parents' friends are all distancing themselves. I switched back to the security feed. Kaya was crying on the couch while Mom made frantic phone calls. Dad just stood by the window, staring at nothing. The Andersons blocked me, Kaya wailed. Everyone's blocking me. Shut up about your social media, Mom snapped. We're facing serious charges. You promised nothing would happen. You said the money was legally ours. Be quiet, both of you, Dad said quietly. They're probably recording everything. Smart man. Too late. But smart. Sophie checked my vitals. Your heart rate's elevated. Need a break? No. I watched the screen intently. I need to see this. My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered on speaker. Ms. Henderson? This is Amanda from Harbor Heights Yacht Club. We're conducting an internal review and need to verify some financial transactions. Of course, I said smoothly. I have all the records right here. Shall I send them to the board? Mom appeared in my doorway just in time to hear my response. Her face crumpled. Please, she whispered, don't. I looked at her, really looked at her. The perfect makeup couldn't hide her fear now. You know what the worst part is? I said quietly. I would have given Kaya anything she needed. All you had to do was ask. I was protecting her future. No, you were protecting your image, and now you don't even have that. Vincent stood. I think the DA would be very interested in these new recordings. Mom fled down the hallway. I could hear her heels clicking frantically on the stairs. Send everything, I told Vincent. Every last detail. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and I had nothing but time to help it along. The explosion came at midnight. I was reviewing evidence with Vincent when Mom burst through my door, waving her phone like a weapon. You little snake, she screamed. Recording your own family? Spying on us? Like you spied on my bank accounts? I kept my voice steady. I found your cameras, your little devices, all of it. She threw a handful of broken electronics onto my bed. You think you're so clever? Vincent stood protectively between us. Mrs. Henderson, I suggest you leave. Or what? She laughed hysterically. You'll record me some more? I'll sue you all for defamation. With what money? I asked quietly. The yacht club's frozen your accounts pending investigation. Dad's company has suspended his salary. Even Kaya's sponsorship money is being audited. I'll destroy you, she hissed. I'll tell everyone you're mentally unstable from the accident, that you imagined everything. Go ahead. I reached for my phone. Ulysses would love another story. Mother gaslights disabled daughter. Has a nice ring to it. Dad appeared in the doorway, looking defeated. Lindsay, stop. It's over. It's not over until I say it's over. Actually, Vincent pulled out his phone. It was over the moment Cecilia sent us the complete files. Any threats now only strengthen our case. A sob from the hallway made us all turn. Kaya stood there, mascara streaking down her face. Is it true? She whispered. The science fair money, Grandma's inheritance, everything? Kaya, darling, Mom started. Don't! Kaya stepped away from her. I saw the documents online. Everyone's sharing them. You took Cecilia's future and gave it to me. We gave you opportunities. I didn't want them. Not like this. Kaya turned to me. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I thought they had your permission. I thought you were helping me. I'm sorry? The question in her voice broke something in me. She'd been a pawn too, in her own way. Heavy footsteps on the stairs interrupted us. 2 police officers appeared, followed by Finn. We have a warrant, one officer announced, holding up a document. Mum's face went chalk white. A warrant? For what? Financial fraud, tax evasion, misappropriation of medical funds. Finn listed off. Would you like me to continue? You can't prove anything. Mom grabbed for my tablet, but Vincent was faster. Actually, he said, we can prove everything. Every conversation, every transfer, every lie. The officers moved forward. Mrs. Henderson, you need to come with us. This is ridiculous. I am a respected member of this community. Was, I corrected. You were respected. Now you're just another fraud case. Dad put his hands up as the officers approached him too. We'll cooperate. Lindsay, please. Just stop fighting. As they led my parents away, Kaya collapsed against my doorframe. What happens now? She whispered. Now? I looked at the broken cameras on my bed. Now you learn to live without their money, without their schemes, without their lies. I never meant... I know. And surprisingly, I did know. But you never asked either. Vincent checked his phone. Ulysses says the story's hitting national news tomorrow. You should prepare yourself. Kaya pulled out her own phone, then threw it onto my bed in disgust. Everyone's calling me fraud princess. All my friends. They're all gone. They weren't friends, I said softly. They were investments. Mom taught us both that, didn't she? Sophie appeared with my evening medications. You need rest. It's been a long night. As everyone filed out, Kaya lingered. Can I stay? Just for a bit? I studied my sister. Really looked at her for the first time in years. Without the designer clothes and perfect makeup, she looked young, lost. Pull up a chair, I said finally. We have a lot to talk about. We sat in silence for a while, listening to police radios fade into the night. My phone buzzed with a message from Ulysses. Story's ready? Sure you want me to run it? I looked at Kaya, who was staring at her hands. Did you ever wonder, she asked quietly, if they loved either of us, really loved us? I think, I replied, typing my response to Ulysses, they loved what we could do for them. And that's why this has to happen. Send, I typed. Let it burn. Sometimes karma comes with collateral damage. But maybe, just maybe, something real could rise from the ashes of all these pretty lies. The inheritance of neglect blazed across every major news outlet. Mom's arrest photo became a social media sensation. Dad's resignation letter was leaked online. Our family name, once a symbol of status, became synonymous with fraud. They're offering a plea deal, Vincent told me during his daily visit. Your mother's not taking it. Of course not. I was doing my walking exercises with Sophie, each step stronger than the last. That would require admitting she was wrong. My phone buzzed constantly with interview requests. Ulysses fielded most of them, protecting my privacy while the story exploded. Good Morning America wants an exclusive, he called to tell me. They're very interested in the anonymous whistleblower angle. Keep me anonymous, I insisted. The evidence speaks for itself. The house felt empty now. Dad was staying with relatives. Mom's bail conditions prevented her from returning home. Kaya had moved into a small apartment, her social media empire in ruins. Sophie helped me into the living room, once Mom's showcase for entertaining. Now it felt hollow, like a movie set after the actors had gone home. Look at this, Sophie said, picking up a fallen photo. It showed Mom hosting a charity gala, Kaya at her side. All that performative generosity while stealing from their own, I finished. The doorbell rang. It was Finn with more documents. The insurance company's launching a full audit, he explained, spreading papers across the coffee table. They're finding similar patterns in other cases. Your parents weren't the only ones exploiting the system. How many? Dozens. Rich families using medical settlements as personal slush funds. You blew the lid off something bigger than your case. My phone lit up with a text from Kaya. Got a job interview tomorrow, a real one. Wish me luck? Progress comes in small steps, just like recovery. That evening, Vincent brought takeout and news. Your mother's trying to spin this, claiming she was protecting the family's interests. How's that working out? About as well as Kaya's yacht fraud Barbie memes. I scrolled through my phone, reading comments on Ulysses' latest article. Rich people really think they're above everything. Justice for the whistleblower. Finally, someone exposed these frauds. Sophie sat beside me. You got what you wanted. Justice, exposure, consequences. Why don't you seem happier? I stared at the empty house, the spaces where family photos used to hang. I wanted justice, not this emptiness. Having second thoughts. No, just realizing revenge doesn't fill the holes they left. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Kaya, looking different in simple jeans and a plain sweater. I found this in my apartment, she said, holding out a folder. Dad's old financial records. There's more. So much more. Vincent took the folder, whistling as he flipped through it. This goes back decades. Family trusts, inheritance schemes. I needed you to see it, Kaya said to me. To know I'm choosing a side, the right side. Later that night, exploring the now quiet house, I found a note in Dad's study. His handwriting was shaky. Cecilia, I tried to stop it years ago. Your mother's schemes, her obsession with status. I was too weak, too afraid of losing the life we'd built. I failed you both as a father. The truth is your inheritance. Use it better than we did. Dad. I showed the note to Sophie during my evening therapy. What are you thinking? She asked. I'm thinking about karma, about how it strips everything bare until you see what's real. My phone buzzed. Ulysses again. They want to name you in the follow-up piece. Call it a triumph of justice. Your call. I thought about Mom in her designer suits, now wearing orange, about Dad's broken confession, about Kaya learning to live without artifice. No, I replied. Let them wonder. Some stories work better in the shadows. Sophie helped me stand, my legs stronger each day. Ready to try the stairs? I looked up at the challenge ahead. One step at a time. Through the window, I could see reporters still camped outside, hungry for more details about the family that imploded. They didn't understand that the real story wasn't in the headlines or arrest photos. It was in the quiet moments. Kaya's first job interview, Dad's painful honesty, my growing strength, the slow dismantling of everything false and shiny in our lives. You know, Sophie said as I gripped the banister, sometimes the biggest victory is just standing up again. I took my first step up the stairs, feeling the burn in my healing muscles. Behind me, the empty house held all our broken pieces. Ahead, each step promised something new, not healing exactly, but maybe something more honest than what we had before. The verdict came down on a sunny morning. I watched from my small apartment as the news broke across every channel. Guilty on all counts, Vincent said, muting the TV. Your mother's facing 8 years. Dad took the plea deal, I noted, 3 years plus restitution. Sophie brought me my cane. I rarely needed it now, but today's therapy had been intense. How do you feel? Before I could answer, someone knocked. It was Ulysses, looking apologetic. I know you said no interviews, but Still no, I interrupted. Actually, he smiled, I'm here about something else. Remember those other cases Finn mentioned? Similar fraud patterns? I nodded. We found 23 families doing the same thing. Insurance settlements, medical funds, all diverted to maintain their social status. Your case broke it wide open. My phone buzzed, Kaya calling. Can you come to my work, please? It's important. I found her at the small coffee shop where she'd started as a barista. She was in the middle of training a new employee. That's my sister, she told the trainee proudly. She taught me about honest work. What's the emergency? I asked after the trainee left. Kaya handed me an envelope. I've been saving from every paycheck. It's not much, but it's a start to pay you back. Keep it, I said. Use it for community college. No. Her voice was firm. I need to make this right, even if it takes years. My phone buzzed again, a message from Dad's sister. Your father wanted you to know he's teaching financial literacy classes in prison. Says it's his way of making amends. Vincent called next. The insurance company's implementing new protections because of your case. They're calling it the Henderson Protocol. I laughed at the irony. Mom would have loved having something named after her. Just not this. Speaking of, Sophie said, showing me her phone, the country club's being investigated for helping members hide fraudulent transactions. Karma's got a long reach. The bell above the coffee shop door chimed. A familiar face walked in. Trevor Anderson, Kaya's former yacht club crush. Small coffee, he mumbled, not meeting our eyes. Kaya straightened her apron. That'll be $3.50. And Trevor, my sister's medical fund says thank you for the donation. He fled without his coffee. That felt good, Kaya grinned. Back home, I found a letter waiting. Mom's handwriting from prison. You think you've won, you think you've taught us all a lesson, but you've destroyed this family's legacy. Was your revenge worth it? I showed it to Sophie during my evening exercises. She still doesn't get it, Sophie said. No, I agreed. She never will. Ulysses called again. Last chance for that exclusive interview. People want to know who exposed the fraud. Tell them Karma has her own schedule, I said, and her own ways of balancing the books. A final text came through from Kaya. Found something in my old things. Remember that science fair? I kept your project outline. It was brilliant. I should have said that then. I'm saying it now. I smiled, remembering the girl who once lived for her parents' approval. She was gone, replaced by someone stronger, someone real. Vincent brought dinner and news. The DA's office wants your help consulting on similar cases. Your insight could help other families. Maybe later, I said. Right now, I'm focused on building something new. Like what? I showed him my laptop, a draft of my story. Not for the media, but for others like me. People whose families saw them as investments instead of humans. Sometimes, I typed, Karma likes to take her time, but we made sure she never lost the address. Sophie read over my shoulder. That's not the ending I expected. It's not really an ending, I said. Mom's right about one thing. I destroyed our family's legacy, but maybe that legacy needed destroying. The sun set over my modest apartment, so different from our old house of lies. No designer furniture, no society magazines, no pretense, just truth, hard-won and harder kept. My phone lit up one last time. Another victim of family fraud, reaching out after reading about my case. How did you find the strength? I thought about Mom in prison, Dad teaching others from his mistakes, Kaya learning to live authentically, about Sophie's unwavering support, Vincent's loyal guidance, Ulysses's careful exposure of truth. Strength isn't about standing alone, I wrote back. It's about knowing when to let the walls fall down. Outside, a new day was dawning, and this time, every step forward would be honest, earned, and real.
I've always known my place in the family hierarchy, somewhere between the houseplants and my mother's collection of decorative plates. The golden child spot was firmly occupied by my sister Daphne, who was currently holding court at our monthly family brunch, waving her left hand so the morning light could catch her obscenely large diamond. "My name is Summer, and I'm the sister who wasn't supposed to be there that morning. But Daphne had insisted, which meant my mother had called 6 times until I agreed to come. It's absolutely perfect," my mother cooed, clutching Daphne's hand across the table. "Tyson has exquisite taste." I stabbed at my eggs Benedict, wondering if anyone would notice if I slipped away. The restaurant's patio was crowded with Sunday brunches, but our table might as well have been on its own stage, with Daphne as the star. "Summer, you're being awfully quiet," Daphne said, turning her spotlight smile my way. "Aren't you excited about being part of my special day?" "Thrilled," I managed, forcing a smile. "Congratulations again." "Actually—" Daphne's eyes gleamed with that look I knew too well, the one that meant she was about to ask for something while making it sound like she was doing me a favor. "I've been thinking about the wedding stationery. You still do that little design hobby of yours, right?" I felt my jaw tighten. 6 years of art school, 3 years building my freelance business, and my career was still a little hobby to them. "I run a graphic design studio," I corrected quietly. "And yes, I do wedding suites." "Perfect!" Daphne clapped her hands. "You can do all my stationery. The save the dates, invitations, programs, everything. It'll be your wedding gift to us." My father looked up from his coffee. "That's quite a lot of work, Daphne." "Oh, please." My mother waved him off. "Summer has plenty of time. It's not like she has a real job or a relationship to worry about." The words hit like tiny arrows, precise and painful. I set my fork down, appetite gone. "My rates start at—" "Rates?" Daphne laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Don't be ridiculous, I'm your sister. Besides, it's the least you could do, being single and everything. You can live vicariously through my perfect wedding." I looked around the table, at my father's suddenly fascinating coffee cup, my mother's expectant stare, and Daphne's triumphant smile. Years of similar moments flashed through my mind. My art school acceptance letter overshadowed by Daphne's promotion, my first major client overlooked because Daphne had a new boyfriend, every achievement minimized, every success dismissed. "Of course," I heard myself say, my voice steady. "I'd love to." "See?" my mother beamed. "Summer knows how to be supportive." Daphne launched into her vision. Letterpress printing, gold foil, custom monograms. I nodded at appropriate intervals while something dark and determined unfurled in my chest. "The save the dates need to go out next month," Daphne was saying. "I'll send you my Pinterest board. Everything needs to be perfect. The Olivers are practically royalty in this city." "I won't let you down," I promised. And for once, I meant every word. The rest of brunch passed in a blur of wedding talk and mimosas. As we stood to leave, Daphne pulled me into a perfumed hug. "Thank you, little sister. I knew I could count on you to do this one thing right." I watched them leave, my parents flanking Daphne like proud bodyguards, her designer heels clicking on the pavement, her ring catching the light one last time. Then I drove home to my small but sunlit studio apartment, where my drafting table waited by the window. I pulled out my sketch pad and opened my laptop. A notification popped up, a message from my best friend Colin. "How was the family torture session?" "The usual," I typed back. "Daphne's engaged. Guess who's designing her wedding suite?" "Tell me you're charging triple." "Better," I replied, a smile spreading across my face as I opened a blank document. "I'm doing it for free." "You? Working for free? Who are you and what have you done with Summer?" I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I started sketching, each stroke precise and purposeful. If they wanted exposure, they'd get it. If they wanted perfect, I'd give them perfect. And if they wanted me to pour my heart into this project, well, they had no idea what was really in my heart. Trust me, I finally wrote back to Colin. This one's going to be worth every penny I'm not charging. My phone buzzed for the 20th time that morning. Daphne's messages kept coming like rapid fire. The scroll work needs to be more delicate. Can you make the gold more golden? That font looks cheap. Are you even listening to me? I set my coffee down and typed back, working on revisions now. The truth was, I'd already finished 3 perfect versions of the Save the Dates. But Daphne needed to feel in control, so I'd been sending her deliberately flawed designs, letting her fix them until we arrived at exactly what I'd planned all along. My phone rang. Colin, please tell me you're not actually working on a Sunday, he said when I picked up. Just making my sister feel important. I switched to speaker and continued sketching. How's the gallery setup going? That's actually why I'm calling. I need you to drop by the venue. There's something weird with the lighting, and you've got a better eye for... A loud voice from the hallway cut through our conversation. I recognized it immediately. Tyson, Daphne's fiancé. He must have been visiting the architecture firm next door. I know, he was saying, his voice getting clearer as he passed my studio door. Daphne's being intense about the wedding. No, babe, don't worry, I'll handle her. I froze. Daphne wasn't with him. She was at her yoga class. I'd know because she'd sent me a selfie an hour ago. Colin, I'll call you back, I whispered, ending the call. Moving silently, I pressed my ear to the door. Miss you too, V, Tyson continued, his voice dropping lower. Last night was... Yeah, we'll do it again soon. Daphne's got this wedding planning thing on Thursday. Come over? My hand flew to my mouth. V, as in Valerie? Daphne's best friend and maid of honor? I waited until his footsteps faded, then grabbed my laptop. My fingers flew across the keyboard, searching Instagram. There it was. Valerie's profile, recently made private. But her latest public post was still visible, a sunset photo captioned, Summer Nights and Secret Delights. The timestamp matched a night Daphne had called me crying because Tyson was working late. I sat in the growing darkness of my studio, my design work forgotten. The responsible thing would be to tell Daphne, but I already knew how that would play out. She'd accuse me of jealousy, of trying to ruin her happiness. My mother would say I was making things up for attention. My phone buzzed again. Daphne. The Save the Dates have to go out next week. The Olivers are throwing us an engagement party, and everyone needs to know the date beforehand. Don't screw this up. I stared at her message, then at my sketches. The elegant borders I'd designed could easily hide a QR code, small enough to seem decorative, but clear enough to scan. And once scanned... Summer? Colin was at my door. You okay? You never called back. I let him in, showing him Tyson's call, Valerie's post, everything. Holy shit, he whispered, scrolling through my phone. Are you going to tell her? No. I pulled up my design software. I'm going to show everyone. Summer. His voice held a warning. Think about what you're doing. I have thought about it. For 29 years I've thought about it. About being the family disappointment, the silly little sister with her silly little hobby. I turned my screen toward him. Want to help me set up a private photo album? This is crazy, he said, but he was already pulling up a chair. You know there's no going back once you do this. I started working on the QR code, making it blend seamlessly into the design. Going back to what? Being everyone's doormat? Fair point. He watched me work for a moment. But maybe we should sleep on it? No. I kept designing, my hands steady. The Save the Dates go out next week. Everything needs to be perfect, remember? Colin stayed late, helping me test the QR code and set up the private album. When he finally left, the studio was dark except for my screen's glow. My phone lit up with one last message from Daphne. Just saw your latest design. Much better. See what happens when you actually listen to me? Maybe you're not hopeless after all. I smiled at my screen, at the intricate pattern that would soon expose every lie. Thanks, sis, I typed back. I'm putting my whole heart into this one. And I was. Just not in the way she thought. I saved the final design and sent it to my printer. In 7 days, 300 save the dates would go out to Minneapolis's finest. 300 chances for the truth to come out. Let the countdown begin. The print shop smelled like fresh ink and expensive paper. I stood watching as the first save the date came off the press, its gold foil catching the light. Perfect, down to the last detail, including the nearly invisible QR code woven into the border's flourishes. These are stunning, the printer said, holding one up. Wedding season keeps us busy, but this design, it's different. Special. If he only knew. My phone buzzed. Daphne again. Please tell me they're ready. The engagement party is tonight. Just picking them up now, I replied. They're everything you wanted. I packed the boxes carefully, each save the date nestled in cream-colored envelopes. 300 little bombs, waiting to explode. Back at my studio, Colin helped me sort them by zip code. Last chance to back out, he said, sealing another envelope. Look at this. I showed him my phone. Daphne had just posted on Instagram. So blessed to have my talented little sister handling our wedding stationery. Sometimes the simplest jobs bring the most joy. Wedding planning, or family first. Colin winced. Okay, she deserves this. My phone rang. Valerie. I let it go to voicemail. She'd been calling more frequently lately, probably suspicious of why I'd agreed to do all this work for free. She'd find out soon enough. The post office closes in an hour, Colin reminded me. We loaded the boxes into my car. At the post office, the clerk raised an eyebrow at the quantity, but started processing them efficiently. Each thump of her stamp felt like a heartbeat. All done, she announced. They'll go out first thing tomorrow. I drove Colin home, then returned to my studio. Daphne had texted again. Coming by to pick up some for the party tonight. Need to hand deliver to the Olivers. 20 minutes later, she burst in, trailing designer perfume and entitlement. Where are they? I need at least 30. I handed her a stack of envelopes. She immediately started inspecting them, holding each up to the light. The foil work is acceptable, she said, like she was grading a child's artwork. Though I still think the font could have been more elegant. Tyson's mother has incredibly refined taste. I'm sure she does. I thought of the photos in the hidden album. Tyson and Valerie in various compromising positions, their text exchanges, the hotel receipts. Oh! Daphne's face lit up at her phone. Valerie just got to the party venue. She's been such a rock through all this planning. She looked up at me. That's what real friendship looks like, Summer. You should try it sometime. I smiled. I'm learning a lot about friendship lately. She missed my tone completely. Well, try not to be such a hermit. It's sad seeing you alone all the time. She headed for the door, precious envelopes clutched to her chest. Thanks for these. Try to come to the party if you can make yourself presentable. After she left, I opened my laptop and checked the album one last time. Everything was ready. In less than 24 hours, all those carefully curated lives would shatter. My phone lit up with a text from Colin. You okay? Never better, I replied. I worked late into the night, catching up on client projects I'd neglected while perfecting Daphne's save the dates. Around midnight, my social media started filling with photos from the engagement party. Daphne and Tyson, picture perfect. Valerie standing nearby, champagne in hand, wearing a dress that cost more than my monthly rent. One photo caught my eye. Tyson's mother showing off the save the date to a group of society women, pointing out the exquisite detailing. If she looked closely enough, she might even spot the QR code tonight. But she wouldn't. None of them would. Not until tomorrow, when some bored guest decided to investigate the intricate pattern more carefully. My phone buzzed one final time. Daphne. Everyone loved them. See what happens when you actually apply yourself? Maybe this will lead to some real work for you. I started to reply, then stopped. Instead, I opened my calendar and created an event for tomorrow. D-Day. Outside my window, the city lights twinkled like they were in on the secret. Somewhere out there, 300 envelopes were sitting in postal bins, waiting for morning. 300 ticking clocks, all set to go off at once. I shut down my computer and got ready for bed. Tomorrow would be a busy day, and I wanted to be well rested for the show. After all, as Daphne always said, presentation is everything. The first call came at 2:17 p.m. I watched Daphne's name flash on my phone screen, ignored it, and continued working on a client's logo design. Then another call, and another. My phone buzzed with a text from Colin. "It's starting." I'd just finished responding when my studio door burst open. Daphne stood there, mascara streaking down her face, clutching her phone like a weapon. "What did you do?" she screamed. "What did you do?" I kept my voice calm. "You'll need to be more specific." She thrust her phone in my face. "The QR code. Everyone's calling me. Texting me. There are pictures, Summer." "Oh." I turned back to my computer. "That's interesting. Don't you dare act innocent." She slammed my laptop closed, nearly catching my fingers. "Pictures of Tyson. Private messages. How did you get these?" "I'm good at what I do," I said quietly. "My silly little hobby, remember?" Her face went from red to white. You planned this?" "Like you said. I just needed to apply myself." The slap came fast, stinging across my cheek. I didn't flinch. "You're lying," she hissed. "You doctored those photos. You're trying to ruin my life because you're jealous." My phone kept buzzing. Mom. Dad. Unknown numbers. "Ask Valerie," I suggested. "She's in most of those photos." Daphne's hands started shaking. "Valerie would never—" "Check your messages," I said. "I'm sure she's trying to reach you by now." As if on cue, Daphne's phone lit up with Valerie's call. She stared at it, then at me, then back at her phone. When she answered, her voice was small. "Val?" I could hear Valerie's panicked voice through the speaker. "Daphne, I can explain. It didn't mean anything. Tyson said you were always too busy." Daphne ended the call. She sank into my client chair, her perfect posture crumbling. 300 save the dates, I said, standing up. 300 QR codes. How many have been scanned so far? Why? She looked up, tears cutting through her makeup. Why would you do this to me? To you? I laughed. This isn't about you. This is about truth, about consequences, about years of being treated like I'm nothing while you and Valerie and Tyson play your little games. My phone buzzed again. A text from Colin. Local gossip blog just picked up the story. You might want to check Twitter. Daphne's phone was exploding with notifications. She scrolled through them, her hands shaking harder. Mom's calling. The Olivers are calling. Oh God, it's trending. You wanted exposure for my work, I reminded her. Looks like you got it. She stood up suddenly, grabbing her purse. I'll deny everything. I'll say you're crazy, that you fabricated it all because you're a bitter, lonely failure. Go ahead. I opened my laptop again. The metadata's all there. Timestamps, locations, hotel receipts. I'm very thorough with my work, when I actually apply myself. A new voice from the doorway. What the hell is going on? Tyson stood there, his perfect hair disheveled, his face flushed. He looked at Daphne, then at me, then at his phone. The pictures. How did... Ask Valerie, Daphne and I said in unison. He backed away, already dialing. My father's lawyers will... Will what? I interrupted. Sue me for exposing the truth. Go ahead. I saved everything. Daphne moved toward him, reaching out, but he turned and fled. We could hear his expensive shoes pounding down the hallway. My sister stood in the middle of my studio, her world collapsing in real time. For a moment, I saw the little girl who used to share her ice cream with me, who held my hand on the first day of school. Then she straightened her spine, wiped her eyes, and pointed at me. You're dead to this family. Dead. I've been dead to this family for years, I replied. The only difference is now everyone knows why. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard my design awards rattled on their shelf. I sat back down at my computer, opened Twitter, and watched as my sister's perfect life unraveled in real time. Wedding scandal was trending locally. Someone had already made a meme of the save the date design. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. This is Ainsley, your cousin. I'm supposed to be the wedding photographer. Just wanted to say, damn girl, respect. I saved her number, then opened my email. 3 new client inquiries had arrived, all referencing the innovative QR code design work they'd seen online. Sometimes exposure really is everything. Wedding scandal of the year. Designer sister exposes cheating groom through QR code, the headline screamed from my laptop screen. The local gossip blog had turned it into their top story, complete with blurred versions of the leaked photos and a high-res image of my save-the-date design. My studio doorbell rang. Colin rushed in, waving his phone. Have you seen this? You've gone viral. I've noticed. I gestured to my inbox, flooding with messages. The wedding planning community is particularly interested. Summer? A quiet voice from the door. My father stood there, looking older than I'd ever seen him. We need to talk. Colin squeezed my shoulder. I'll get us some coffee, he said, slipping out. My father sat heavily in the client chair. Your mother is... She's not handling this well. Is anyone? He rubbed his face. Couldn't you have handled it more gracefully? Talked to your sister privately? Like anyone would have believed me? I turned my screen toward him. Look at the comments, Dad. Everyone knew. The Olivers' friends, Daphne's social circle, they all knew. They just kept quiet, because it was more convenient. But exposing it like this, he gestured helplessly. The humiliation... The truth, I corrected. I just designed the messenger. My phone buzzed. A text from Valerie. I've lost everything because of you. I hope you're happy. I showed it to my father. Funny how the people who actually did something wrong are the ones acting betrayed. He stood up, straightening his jacket. Your mother wants you to know you're not welcome at Sunday brunch anymore. I never was. After he left, Colin returned with coffee and a paper bag. Brought sustenance. You might need it. There's a reporter from the City magazine downstairs. What? They want to do a piece on innovative design in the digital age or something. Pretty sure they just want the scandal details, but hey, publicity is publicity. My phone rang again. This time it was Ainsley, my cousin the photographer. Hey, I know this is weird timing, but I have a client who loves what you did with that QR code. Any chance you'd want to collaborate? You're not worried about working with the family pariah? She laughed. Please, half the family's been waiting for someone to knock Daphne down a peg. We just didn't expect it to be so... artistic. After we hung up, I opened Instagram. Daphne had posted a lengthy statement. In light of recent events, orchestrated by those who clearly suffer from deep-seated jealousy and emotional instability. The comments were brutal. Girl, take the L. Team designer sister. Anyone have the QR code? Asking for a friend? A new email popped up from my mother. I hope you understand what you've done to this family. Your sister is devastated. Tyson's mother had to leave their country club early yesterday. Is this what you wanted? To destroy everyone's lives with your petty revenge? I started to reply, then deleted the draft. Instead, I opened my design software and began working on a new project, my first commission from the scandal exposure. Colin peered over my shoulder. You okay? Better than okay. I showed him the commission details. They want a campaign built around revealing hidden truths through design. The irony is perfect. Speaking of perfect, he nodded toward my window. Tyson's Tesla was pulling up outside. He got out, straightening his tie like he was heading into a business meeting. Want me to stay? Colin asked. No, I've got this. Tyson entered without knocking. We need to discuss terms. We really don't. My father's prepared to offer. No amount of money will make those photos disappear, I interrupted. They're out there now, just like you and Valerie were out there, all those nights Daphne was planning your wedding. He slammed his hand on my desk. You've ruined everything. No, you did that. I just made it look pretty. He left as quickly as he'd arrived, nearly colliding with a delivery person carrying a massive bouquet. The card read, From one truth-teller to another. Let's talk about a feature story. Editor, Design Weekly. My phone lit up with another text from Ainsley. Hey, random question. Any chance you're free to design my brother's wedding invitations? His fiancée loves scandals, and apparently you're now the edgy choice for society weddings. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in days. My computer pinged with another email notification, this time from a major design firm. Maybe Daphne was right after all. Sometimes the simplest jobs really do bring the most joy, especially when they're executed perfectly. The official cancellation announcement appeared on Daphne's Instagram exactly 1 week after the QR code scandal broke. Due to private circumstances, Tyson and I have decided to postpone our wedding indefinitely. Please respect our privacy during this difficult time. The comments section exploded within minutes. Private circumstances, LMAU. Your sister did you a favor. Team Summer forever. I closed the app and turned to Colin, who was helping me pack up my studio. You sure about this move? The design hub downtown offered me twice the space for the same rent, I said, carefully wrapping my awards. Plus, they want me to teach a workshop on innovative digital integration in print design. You mean, how to hide scandalous QR codes in wedding invitations? That's the unofficial title. My phone rang. My mother. I let it go to voicemail, but she called right back. What? I answered. I'm removing you from my will, she announced without preamble, and selling your childhood art supplies. I was never really in it anyway, I replied. And those supplies were Daphne's hand-me-downs. You've made your point, Summer. You've had your revenge. Are you happy now? Your sister barely leaves her house. I taped up another box. Maybe she should have thought about consequences before... Before what? Before trusting her sister? Before giving you a chance to be part of something special? Before treating me like garbage for 29 years? She hung up. Seconds later, a text arrived. You'll regret this when you're as alone as you've made your sister. Colin read it over my shoulder. You're not alone, you know. I know. I showed him my email. I have 3 new clients this week, 2 magazine interviews tomorrow, and apparently I'm trending on design Twitter. The studio door opened. Ainsley walked in, carrying coffee and a magazine. You're going to want to see this. She spread the magazine on my desk. It was the latest issue of Modern Design Monthly, featuring a full-page analysis of my save-the-date work. The headline read, The Art of Exposure, How One Designer Turned Wedding Stationery into Social Commentary. They're calling you a visual revolutionary, Ainsley said, grinning. The perfect blend of artistry and activism. Daphne's going to hate that, Colin remarked. Daphne's moving to Chicago, Ainsley reported. Apparently the Olivers pulled some strings, got her a job at their satellite office. She posted about new beginnings this morning. My phone buzzed with another email. The Design Hub wanted to know if I'd consider curating a gallery show. Hidden in plain sight, the power of visual truth. Say yes, Colin urged. We can showcase the wedding suite alongside your other work. Make it about more than just the scandal. I was about to reply when a final text came through from Daphne. You've made your point. I hope you're happy now. I hope your precious career was worth destroying your family. I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, It wasn't about my career. It was about the truth, something you never valued. She read it immediately but didn't respond. Help me carry these boxes? I asked Colin and Ainsley. The new studio has better lighting. As we loaded my car, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the window. I looked different somehow. Stronger maybe, or just more myself. Oh! Ainsley nearly dropped a box. I almost forgot. Remember that collaboration we talked about? The client wants to meet tomorrow. They're planning this huge society wedding, but they want it to be authentic and boundary-pushing. Translation, they want drama without having to create it themselves. Colin laughed. Maybe, I said, but at least they're honest about it. We finished loading the car as the sun set, casting long shadows across the parking lot. My old studio looked small now, almost confining. Tomorrow I'd start fresh in a space 3 times this size, with windows overlooking the city and my name on the door. My phone lit up one last time. A message from my father. Your mother's upset, but I saw the magazine article. The work is beautiful, Summer, even if the timing wasn't. I showed Colin and Ainsley. Progress? Baby steps, Colin said. At least someone in your family finally saw your work for what it is. Art, Ainsley added. Really, really effective art. We locked up the old studio and headed out. Behind us, the building's security lights clicked on, illuminating the empty space where I'd planned my sister's downfall with precise artistic detail. Tomorrow would bring new projects, new challenges, new opportunities to tell the truth through design. But tonight, watching my old life recede in the rearview mirror, I felt nothing but light. Today would have been Daphne's wedding day. Instead of watching my sister walk down the aisle, I sat at my new drafting table, working on designs for a tech startup's rebranding. The irony wasn't lost on me. They wanted something transparent and authentic. My phone buzzed. A notification from Instagram. Daphne had posted for the first time since moving to Chicago. Sometimes the universe has other plans. Today, I'm celebrating new beginnings. Rebirth party. The photo showed her surrounded by champagne bottles and new friends, all wearing white like some twisted mockery of a wedding party. She'd tagged the location, an upscale rooftop bar downtown. You're not actually thinking of going, are you? Colin asked, reading over my shoulder. No, I said, turning back to my work. Yes. I grabbed my keys. Maybe. Summer. I just need to return something. In my apartment, I dug through my jewelry box until I found it. A delicate silver bracelet Daphne had given me on my 16th birthday. Back when we were still sisters, not just characters in each other's stories, the rooftop bar was exactly as pretentious as I'd expected. I heard Daphne's laugh before I saw her, that practiced society trill she'd perfected years ago. Oh my God, someone whispered as I approached. Is that? Daphne turned. Her champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. What are you doing here? Delivery. I held out the bracelet. Found this while packing up my studio. She stared at it, recognition flickering across her face. You kept that old thing? Until today. Her new friends watched our exchange like it was a tennis match. One pulled out her phone, probably hoping to capture something dramatic for social media. You know, Daphne said, her voice carrying across the rooftop, I've been doing a lot of thinking in Chicago. About family. About forgiveness. Have you? I set the bracelet on her table. Or have you just been planning how to spin this into your comeback story? You're one to talk about stories. She picked up the bracelet. You turned my life into your little art project. No, I just designed the frame. You and Tyson painted the picture. A murmur rippled through her friends. Someone definitely started recording. You want to know the funny thing? Daphne's voice dropped lower. For years, I actually felt bad for you. Poor little Summer. So talented, but so invisible. I gave you the biggest opportunity of your career, and you used it to destroy me. Opportunity? I laughed. You mean free labor? Your chance to remind everyone that your little sister was just a hobby artist? At least I included you. When's the last time you included me in anything? Yesterday, I said quietly. My gallery show opened. Mom and Dad came. That stopped her. What? They saw my work, really saw it, maybe for the first time. Dad cried when he realized how long I'd been screaming in silence through my designs. Mom asked if I'd teach her about digital integration. Daphne's perfect mask cracked, just slightly. They never told me. Why would they? You blocked all our numbers. She twisted the bracelet between her fingers. I had to start fresh. My whole life fell apart in one day because of you. No, I corrected her. Your fake life fell apart. The real one's still waiting whenever you're ready to live it. I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. Was any of it real? When we were kids? The bracelet was. I looked back at her. That's why I kept it so long. And that's why I'm returning it now. You broke long before I ever picked up the pieces. Her friends had gone silent, phones still recording. Tomorrow this would probably be all over social media. The designer's sister crashes the rebirth party. But for once, I didn't care about the exposure. Summer! Daphne called as I reached the exit. The design! It really was beautiful. Even the QR code. I know, I said, and left. Outside, the summer evening wrapped around me like a warm blanket. My phone buzzed. Ainsley had sent a link to an article, Wedding Design Scandal Sparks Industry Revolution, How Hidden Codes Are Changing Modern Stationery. Below it was a message. You didn't just change your life. You changed the whole game. I walked back to my car, leaving behind the sound of Daphne's party resuming without me. The bracelet that had weighed down my jewelry box for years now sat on her table, a relic of a relationship that had died long before any QR code brought truth to light. My phone buzzed again. A new client inquiry, looking for something unique, something that tells the whole story, not just the pretty parts. I smiled and started composing a reply. That, at least, was something I knew how to do. The gallery buzzed with opening night energy. My exhibition, Hidden in Plain Sight, had drawn quite a crowd, including, to my surprise, both my parents. They stood before the centerpiece, a massive print of Daphne's wedding invitation, QR code gleaming under gallery lights. It's different seeing it like this, my father said quietly. The detail work. I never really looked before. My mother touched the frame gently. All those years, you were telling us stories through your art. We just didn't know how to read them. Before I could respond, Colin rushed over. Summer, you need to see this. He handed me his phone. An email had just arrived, from Valerie. Dear Summer, I'm getting married. Before you ask, no, not to Tyson. I met someone who actually values honesty. I know this is strange, but would you design our invitations? No hidden codes needed this time. Everything's already in the open. Valerie. Well, that's unexpected, Colin said. I handed his phone back. So is this whole night. Look around. The gallery was filled with design students sketching in notebooks, photographers analyzing my techniques, and society wives whispering behind their hands. My new studio had a 6-month waiting list. The scandal had transformed into something else entirely, a conversation about truth in art, about speaking when words fail. Summer? A familiar voice. I turned to find Ainsley with her camera. Mind if I add something to the exhibition? She pulled up a photo on her screen. Daphne at her rebirth party, holding the silver bracelet, mask finally cracked. The caption read, "The moment truth catches up." It's perfect, I said. Print it. My phone buzzed. A text from Daphne. Saw your exhibition made the national design blogs. Guess you were never just a hobby artist after all. I showed Colin. Progress? Baby steps, he agreed. The gallery director approached with a champagne flute. We've sold 4 pieces already, and there's someone here you should meet, a publisher interested in turning your story into a coffee table book about revolutionary design techniques. My mother overheard. A book? About my daughter's work? The pride in her voice was new, fragile, real. I excused myself and stepped onto the gallery's balcony. The city sparkled below, full of stories waiting to be told. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Daphne. I'm not ready to forgive you, but I'm starting to understand why you did it. The bracelet's on my desk at work. Reminds me of who we used to be, who we might be again someday. I typed back. Some designs take time to perfect. Inside, the crowd had gathered around my newest piece, a series of interconnected frames showing the evolution of my work. From early designs where I hid my pain in pretty flourishes, to the wedding suite that broke everything open, to my latest projects. Bold, honest, unafraid. It's like watching someone find their voice, I heard someone say. Colin joined me on the balcony. Valerie's email. Are you going to do it? Maybe. I smiled. But first, I have another project. I showed him my sketches for a new design series, Sister Stories, exploring how families break and rebuild through visual narrative. The first piece is that photo of Daphne with the bracelet, I explained. Sometimes the most powerful truth is the simplest one. And what's that? That we're all just people, trying to be seen. My father called from inside. Summer? The publisher wants to talk numbers. I took one last look at the city lights. My phone held Daphne's text, Valerie's email, and dozens of messages from people who saw themselves in my work. The revenge that had started everything had evolved into something bigger, a conversation about authenticity in a world of carefully curated lies. Ready? Colin asked. Almost. I sent one final text to Daphne. The gallery's open late tomorrow. Come see who we really are. Inside, the exhibition hummed with life. My mother was explaining my techniques to strangers. My father beamed at anyone who would listen. The QR code that had shattered one life had somehow built another, one where truth wasn't just tolerated, but celebrated. I stepped back through the gallery doors, into the light of my own design. Whatever came next, Valerie's wedding, Daphne's possible reconciliation, my expanding career, would be built on foundation of absolute truth. After all, that's what good design is about, showing people exactly what they need to see, whether they're ready for it or not. The rest is just details.
The worst part about family dinners is pretending to smile while someone twists a knife in your back, especially when that someone is your own sister, and she's doing it with the practiced grace of a surgeon. Whitney's still working on finding her path, Quinn announces to the table, reaching for her wine glass. But that's what makes her special. She's our family dreamer. I'm 28 years old, with a master's degree, sitting at my sister's favorite upscale restaurant for her birthday dinner. The same restaurant we go to every year, where she always manages to turn every conversation into a highlight reel of her achievements. Actually, I start, but Mom cuts me off. Quinn just made junior partner, she beams. 31, and already so accomplished. We're beyond proud. Dad nods, his attention fixed on cutting his overpriced steak. The Kent family name means something at her firm now. I take a long sip of water, wishing it was something stronger. The waiter appears with Quinn's chocolate souffle, complete with a sparkler. Perfect timing. It gives everyone an excuse to stop pretending they care about my recent publication on contemporary literature. Before we do dessert, Quinn says, setting down her fork with theatrical precision, I wanted to share some news. I've decided to make some changes with childcare arrangements. The table goes quiet. Even Rose, Quinn's 6-year-old, looks up from her iPad. Paula's been struggling lately, Quinn continues, missing days, making excuses. I had to let her go. Oh no, Mom gasps. She seems so good with the girls. Quinn shrugs. Good isn't good enough. But it got me thinking. She turns to me and I feel my stomach drop. Whitney, you're between opportunities right now. Why don't you come help with the girls? Just temporarily, while you figure things out. The restaurant suddenly feels too warm, too cramped. I'm actually applying for research positions. Come on, sis. Your degree is... She pauses, lips curving into what others might mistake for kindness. Cute. But let's be practical. You need real-world experience. Something concrete on your resume. My degree isn't... Think about it, Dad interrupts. Quinn's offering you a chance to contribute meaningfully to the family. I grip my napkin under the table, knuckles white. The same way the family contributed to my education, when the fund mysteriously ran dry right before my final year of grad school. The silence that follows is sharp enough to cut glass. Whitney, Mom says quietly, warning in her tone. We've been through this. The education fund was depleted. Your father and I helped where we could. Quinn reaches across the table, patting my hand. Not everyone needs an advanced degree, sweetie. Look how well I did with just my JD. Just her JD. Just her fully funded law degree. Her gap year in Europe. Her perfect trajectory. I pull my hand away. I should head home, I say, standing. Early morning tomorrow. But we haven't done presents, Quinn protests. Happy birthday, I manage, grabbing my coat. I'll call you tomorrow. I don't wait for their responses. Outside, the autumn air hits my face like a wake-up call. My phone buzzes. Probably Mom, ready to lecture me about family loyalty and gratitude. Instead, it's Jessie. How was the dinner from hell? I start walking, faster than necessary. Remember when we were kids and Quinn convinced me the family cookie jar was empty, but really she was hiding all the cookies in her room? Yeah? I think she's still doing it, with slightly higher stakes. What do you mean? I pause at a crosswalk, remembering something. I need to stop by Dad's office tomorrow. He still has that spare key under the ficus, right? Whitney, what are you planning? The light changes and I step into the street. Nothing yet. But I have a feeling I'm about to find some very interesting crumbs. Just be careful, Jessie says. You know how your family gets when anyone questions the Quinn narrative. I hang up, my steps purposeful now. Tomorrow, I'll go to Dad's office during lunch, when I know he'll be at his standing golf game. I'll look for that old notebook he always used to track the family accounts, the one Quinn probably thinks he destroyed years ago. My sister might be the golden child, but she forgot one thing. Sometimes the family dreamer wakes up, and when she does, she might just find out that dreams and revenge look surprisingly similar in the right light. Dad's office smells like leather and expensive regret. The ficus is exactly where it's always been, and the spare key is still taped under its pot. Some habits never change. I let myself in during lunch, my heart thundering against my ribs. You're sure about this? Jesse's voice crackles through my phone's speaker. No, I whisper, moving toward Dad's desk. But I'm doing it anyway. The bottom drawer sticks slightly. It always has. Inside, beneath a stack of golf magazines and old receipts, I find it. The black leather notebook, its spine cracked from years of use. My hands shake as I open it. It's here, I breathe, flipping through pages of Dad's meticulous handwriting. Jesse, the education fund. It's still active. There are entries from last month. How much? I nearly drop the phone when I see the number. Over $200,000. They told me it was empty. They made me take out loans. Take pictures, Jesse says. Document everything. My phone's camera clicks rapidly as I capture page after page. Transactions, dates, amounts. Quinn's name appears repeatedly. Law school tuition, housing allowance, European gap year expenses. All while I was told there wasn't a penny left. A noise in the hallway makes me freeze. I quickly return the notebook, close the drawer, and slip out the back door. My hands don't stop shaking until I'm 3 blocks away. Later that evening, Mom calls. Honey, about dinner last night. I've been thinking about Quinn's offer, I lie, opening my laptop to check international PhD programs. Oh? The hope in her voice is almost painful. It would be such a wonderful opportunity. You know Quinn only wants to help. Right. Help. I click on a program in Amsterdam that makes my heart race. Cultural studies with a focus on power dynamics in literature. Mom, what happened to the education fund? Really? The pause is telling. Whitney, we've been through this. It was depleted years ago. Your father and I. Because I found some old papers, I interrupt, showing transactions from last year. Those must be mistakes. Or maybe you misunderstood. You know numbers were never your strong suit, unlike Quinn. I'm going to call Mr. Roberts, I say, naming the fund's trustee, just to clarify things. Don't. The sharpness in her voice confirms everything. That's not necessary. Why don't you come over for dinner tomorrow? We can discuss Quinn's childcare needs properly. I decline and end the call, my cursor hovering over the PhD application portal. An email notification pops up. It's from Professor Nolan Gray, responding to my inquiry about the Amsterdam program. Your research proposal is intriguing, he writes. I'd love to discuss it further. Are you available for a video call? Jesse comes over that night with takeout and determination. We spread my documents across my small apartment's floor. Bank statements, loan papers, photos of Dad's notebook. Look at this! Jesse points to a series of transfers. They funded Quinn's entire law school experience, including a villa rental in Italy, while telling you the fund was empty. Classic Quinn, I mutter, reaching for my phone as it buzzes. It's Quinn herself. Hey, dreamer, she chirps. Have you thought more about my offer? The girls really need stability, and who better than their aunt? I'm exploring some options, I say carefully. Options? She laughs. Whitney, let's be realistic. Your degree is, well, it's not exactly marketable. I'm offering you a chance at real experience. Like the experience you got in Italy? The words slip out before I can stop them. The line goes silent for a moment. What are you talking about? Nothing, I backtrack. I'll think about the nanny position. After hanging up, I turn to Jesse. Help me with this application. We work late into the night, crafting my research proposal, polishing my CV. The Amsterdam program looks more perfect with every paragraph I read. Full funding isn't guaranteed, but accepted students can apply for grants and use existing education funds. You know they'll try to stop you, Jesse warns as we finish up. I look at the Submit Application button, then at the photo of Dad's notebook showing the education fund's healthy balance. They can try, but first, they'll have to admit they've been lying all these years. And if they don't? I think of Quinn's condescending smile, of all the times I was told to dream smaller, be more practical, more like my sister. Then I'll make them. With a click, my application goes through. The first move in a game they don't even know we're playing. Yet, the coffee shop is quiet when Paula walks in, looking exactly like someone who spent years managing Quinn's children, exhausted but alert. She spots me and makes her way over, clutching her purse like armor. "Thanks for meeting me," she says, sliding into the booth. "I wasn't sure if I should call, but Quinn's been telling people you were fired for negligence?" Paula's laugh is bitter. Is that what she's saying now? I quit. After she refused to pay me for 3 weeks of overtime and threatened to ruin my references if I complained. I push a coffee toward her. "Tell me everything." For the next hour, Paula unravels a familiar pattern. Quinn making impossible demands, changing schedules last minute, requiring Paula to work unpaid hours because we're practically family. All while living in her luxury apartment, funded by the education trust I was told didn't exist. My phone buzzes, Mom again. I silence it. "And now she wants you to take over?" Paula shakes her head. "Don't do it. She'll drain you dry." Like she drained the family education fund? The words slip out before I can stop them. Paula's eyes sharpen. "Is that what they told you? Because last month, Quinn was bragging about using it to fund some professional development program in Switzerland." My coffee goes cold as Paula shares more details. By the time we say goodbye, I have enough notes to fill a small book. Back home, I find 3 missed calls from Mom and a text from Jessie. "Professor Nolan wants to video chat. Call me." Before I can, my laptop pings with an email from Quinn. "Hey, Dreamer. The girls are asking about their Aunt Whitney. Mom mentioned you're being difficult about the childcare position. Let's grab coffee tomorrow and discuss this properly. Family helps family." I forward it to Jessie with just one word. "Wow." The response is immediate. She's getting desperate. "Did you see the nanny agency reviews?" I hadn't, but a quick search shows me multiple warnings about Quinn, describing her as impossible to work with and financially unreliable. My phone rings, Professor Nolan's number. I take a deep breath and answer. "Whitney? Nolan Gray here. I've been reviewing your proposal on power dynamics in contemporary literature. It's fascinating work." My heart skips. "Thank you, But that's not why I'm calling. I've heard through colleagues about your published paper on narrative manipulation and family structures. Have you considered expanding that into a doctoral thesis?" For a moment, I can't speak. Someone actually read my work. Someone thinks it matters. Yes, I'd love to. "Excellent. Let's schedule a proper interview. The Amsterdam program could be perfect for..." A knock at my door interrupts us. Through the peephole, I see Mom, Dad, and Quinn. "Professor, I'm so sorry, but can I call you back in an hour?" I open the door to find my family's intervention squad in full force. Quinn's holding a folder labeled Career Planning. "Surprise!" Mom chirps too brightly. "Family dinner." "I brought takeout," Quinn adds, pushing past me, "and some practical ideas for your future." Dad follows, looking uncomfortable but determined. They arrange themselves around my small living room like a tribunal. "Whitney," Quinn starts, opening her folder, "I've mapped out a 5-year plan for you, starting with childcare certification." "No." The word comes out stronger than I expected. "Excuse me?" I said no. "I'm not becoming your unpaid nanny." Mom leans forward. "Honey, we're worried about you. These academic pursuits, they're not leading anywhere. Unlike Quinn's villa in Italy," the words hang in the air like smoke, "or her Swiss professional development program, those were worth funding, right?" Dad's face goes pale. Quinn's smile freezes. "I don't know what you think you found," Quinn starts. "But..." "Paula says hello, by the way." Quinn stands abruptly. "I see what this is. You're jealous, because I actually made something of myself while you waste time with useless degrees and research no one cares about." "Professor Nolan cares." I meet her eyes. "The Amsterdam PhD program cares." Amsterdam? Mom's voice rises. What are you talking about? Nothing, Quinn cuts in. Because she can't afford it. Right, Dad? Dad won't meet my eyes. He knows what I found in that notebook. Actually, I say, reaching for the acceptance letter that just arrived this morning, let's talk about exactly how I'm going to afford it. And why don't we start with the education fund you all swore was empty? The silence that follows is the loudest thing I've ever heard. There must be some mistake. Mom's voice wavers as she stares at the acceptance letter in her hands. The fund? It's not. Show them, Jessie texts from the other room, where she's been listening through our shared wall. Show them everything. I pull out my phone, opening the photos of Dad's notebook. $200,000. That's the current balance. Here are the transfers to Quinn's law school, her Italy trip, Switzerland, all dated after you told me the fund was empty. Quinn snatches the phone. You went through Dad's private records? That's illegal. Like hiding a trust fund from its beneficiary? I counter. Dad stands suddenly. This discussion is over. Whitney, you're upset, we understand, but breaking into my office. The fund was meant for both of us, I cut in. Grandma's will specifically stated, I needed it more, Quinn explodes. My law degree, my career path, these actually matter. What were you going to do with it? Write more papers nobody reads? My laptop pings. Another email from Professor Nolan. Congratulations on your partial scholarship. Please confirm your funding sources within the week. Quinn reads it over my shoulder, her face darkening. You can't be serious. Amsterdam? A PhD? This is exactly why we had to protect the fund from your impractical... Protect? I laugh. You mean steal. Girls, Mom intervenes, let's all calm down. Whitney, honey, Quinn's children need you here. This Amsterdam thing. It's just another dream. No, I say quietly. It's my future, and I'm done letting you steal it. My phone rings. The trustee's office. I answer on speaker. Miss Kent? This is Margaret from Mr. Roberts' office. We received your inquiry about the Education Trust. I'm calling to confirm that yes, you are indeed a legal beneficiary, and yes, the fund is active with significant balance. Quinn lunges for the phone, but I step back. Thank you, Margaret. Could you email me the full transaction history for the past 5 years? Of course. Though, that's odd. It seems there were instructions not to contact you about the fund. That's highly irregular and potentially... End this call right now, Dad commands. Actually, I continue, I'd love to schedule a meeting with Mr. Roberts to discuss these irregular instructions. Margaret sounds concerned now. Of course. Given the circumstances, I believe he'll want to review this immediately. We take trust violations very seriously. After I hang up, the silence is deafening. Dad's face has gone from red to white. Mom's crying quietly. Quinn looks like she's swallowed glass. You have no idea what you've done, she hisses. Actually, I do. I'm claiming what's legally mine, what you all conspire to keep from me. We did it for your own good, Mom bursts out. Quinn's path, it was just more valuable, I finish. More worthy. Tell that to Professor Nolan. Tell that to the scholarship committee. You ungrateful little... Quinn starts, but Dad grabs her arm. Enough, he says. We need to speak with Roberts before this gets worse. Worse? I laugh. You mean before it becomes public? Before people learn how you funneled my education money to your golden child? Quinn's face twists. You wouldn't dare. Try me. They leave in a hurry after that, Quinn practically dragging Mom, who's still crying about family loyalty and broken trust. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so painful. Jessie comes over as soon as they're gone. I heard everything. Are you okay? No, I admit, hands shaking as I pour wine. But I will be. My laptop pings again. Professor Nolan. Just confirmed with the committee. Your partial scholarship covers 40% of tuition. With your trust fund access, you should be fully covered. Shall we proceed with enrollment? Jessie reads over my shoulder. Do it. Right now. I think of Quinn's face when Margaret mentioned trust violations, of Mom's tears, not for the wrong they did me, but for getting caught, of Dad's notebook, documenting years of their betrayal in his precise handwriting. You know they'll try to block the fund transfer, Jessie warns. Let them try. I start typing my response to Professor Nolan. The trustee's office is already involved. They can't hide anymore. Quinn's going to lose it. I think of all the times I dimmed my light to make my sister shine brighter, of the loans I shouldn't have needed, of being called a dreamer like it was an insult. Good, I say, hitting send. It's her turn to lose something. The confirmation email arrives instantly. Welcome to Amsterdam University's doctoral program. For the first time in years, my dreams don't feel like something I need to apologize for. The email sits in my drafts folder for 3 days before I finally hit send. Jessie helped me word it perfectly, professional, direct, with just enough legal terminology to make it clear I know my rights. The subject line reads, Education Fund Transfer Request. Immediate action required. 2. Family Group. From Whitney. Subject, Education Fund Transfer Request. Immediate action required. Attached, please find 1. Amsterdam University PhD. Acceptance Letter 2. Partial Scholarship Award. 3. Outstanding Tuition Invoice. 4. Trust Fund Wire Transfer Instructions. 5. Legal Beneficiary Documentation. As per grandmother's will and trust specifications, I am formally requesting my portion of the education fund be transferred by Friday. Mr. Roberts has been CC'd on this correspondence. Regards, Whitney. The response is immediate. My phone explodes with notifications. The family group chat, silent for days, suddenly springs to life. Quinn. Are you insane? Mom, please call me immediately. Dad. This is unacceptable. Quinn. I'm coming over. Mom. Whitney, answer your phone. I silence everything except Jessie's messages. Stay strong. Don't answer any calls. Mr. Roberts replies first. Request received and noted. Given recent discoveries of fund mismanagement, I've frozen all outgoing transfers pending review. Whitney's request will take priority. Quinn's response comes seconds later. This is ridiculous. I have pending educational expenses that, Mr. Roberts, all previous transactions are under review. Any further discussion should be through legal channels. I'm still staring at my screen when the pounding starts on my door. Whitney, Quinn's voice carries through the wood. Open this door right now. I peek through the peephole. Quinn's there in her power suit, face flushed with rage. Mom stands behind her, wringing her hands. I can hear you in there, Quinn shouts. You can't hide from this. My phone buzzes with a text from Jessie. Don't open it. They have no power anymore. Whitney, please, Mom pleads through the door. We can talk about this as a family. Like we talked about the fund, I call back, or like we talked about my loans. That was different. Quinn's voice rises. I had a plan, a real career path. You're just running away to play student forever. I lean against the door. Mr. Roberts seems very interested in your real career path expenses. You vindictive little, Quinn starts, but Mom cuts her off. Honey, please, think about what this will do to the family, to Quinn's reputation at her firm. Should have thought about that before committing trust fund fraud, I mutter. My phone pings, an email from Professor Nolan. Housing arrangements confirmed. Welcome package en route. We're excited to have you join us. Another bang on the door. Dad's meeting with the bank tomorrow, Quinn threatens. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I raise my voice. The fund is frozen. Mr. Roberts is investigating. Maybe spend less time threatening me and more time explaining those villa receipts? The silence that follows is delicious. You're making a mistake, Mom says finally, her voice trembling. Quinn needs that money for... For what? I snap. Another luxury educational retreat? More professional development in Switzerland? Those were legitimate expenses, Quinn protests. Tell it to the trust auditor. I hear Quinn's heels clicking as she paces. Fine. Fine. You want to blow up this family? Congratulations. But don't come crying when your little Amsterdam adventure fails and you need help. Like you helped Paula? I ask sweetly. By the way, her lawyer says hello. More silence. Then Quinn's voice, deadly quiet. You've made an enemy you can't afford, little sister. No, I reply, equally soft. I've just stopped being afraid of one. Their footsteps finally retreat. I slide down the door, hands shaking as I text Jessie. They came. They left. It's done. Jessie replies instantly, You okay? I look at my laptop, where the Amsterdam acceptance still glows on the screen, at the email from Mr. Roberts confirming the fund investigation, at Quinn's increasingly desperate messages about her pending expenses. Yeah, I type back. For the first time in years, I really am. My phone buzzes one last time. A message from Rose, Quinn's daughter, sent from Mom's phone. Aunt Whitney, are you really going away? Mom's really mad, but I think it's cool you're going to be a doctor. I smile, typing back, Not that kind of doctor, sweetie. But yes, I'm going to study things I love. Can I come visit? Before I can answer, the message disappears, deleted from the chat. But it doesn't matter. For once, I'm not the one being deleted. Mr. Roberts' office feels too small for the amount of tension it contains. Quinn sits ramrod straight in her designer suit, Mom dabs at her eyes with a tissue, and Dad stares out the window like he's planning an escape. I focus on the stack of papers Mr. Roberts is methodically arranging on his desk. Let's review the facts, he begins, adjusting his glasses. The Education Trust was established for both granddaughters, with equal access and distribution rights. But circumstances changed, Dad interrupts. Quinn's career path. Required hiding the fund's existence from me? I ask quietly. Mr. Roberts holds up a hand. The documentation shows systematic exclusion of one beneficiary, coupled with questionable expenditures. He pulls out a paper. For example, this villa rental in Italy, classified as educational housing. Quinn leans forward. That was a legitimate study abroad expense. For 3 months after your bar exam, Mr. Roberts raises an eyebrow. And these Swiss retreats? The luxury car lease for professional transportation? Mom's tissue shredding intensifies. Surely we can handle this privately. Like you handled my student loans? I cut in. The ones I shouldn't have needed? You ungrateful, Quinn starts, but Mr. Roberts cuts her off. Ms. Quinn, I'd be very careful about accusations right now. The trust violations here are serious. We're talking potential legal consequences. The color drains from Quinn's face. Legal? Fraud? Mr. Roberts says simply. Misappropriation of funds. Deliberate concealment from a beneficiary. The trust executor, that's me, could be required to report this. Dad finally turns from the window. What do you want, Whitney? What was already mine? My share of the fund, transferred to Amsterdam University. That's not possible, Quinn snaps. I have commitments. Your commitments, Mr. Roberts interjects, are precisely the problem. The fund isn't your personal account. He slides a document across the desk. Here's what's going to happen. The fund will be split equally, as originally intended. Whitney's portion will be transferred for her PhD program. The remaining amount... Remaining? Quinn's voice rises. But my professional development program next month has been canceled, Mr. Roberts finishes, along with all future discretionary spending until a full audit is complete. Mom starts crying in earnest now. This will ruin Quinn's reputation at the firm. You should have thought about that, I say, when you were ruining my credit with unnecessary loans. Quinn stands abruptly. This isn't over. Daddy, tell him... Sit down, Dad says tiredly. It's over. But... Quinn. His voice is sharp. Enough. Mr. Roberts slides another document forward. I need signatures from all parties acknowledging the fund division and transfer authorization. Quinn's hand shakes as she signs. I hope you're happy, destroying this family for your little academic fantasy. I take the pen. Funny. I thought the destruction started when you stole my education fund. Mom refuses to sign it first, but Dad takes her hand. Laura, please, before this gets worse. Worse? She looks at me pleadingly. Whitney, we only wanted what was best. For Quinn, I finish. I know. Sign the paper, Mom. After they leave, Mr. Roberts hands me a final document. Your transfer will process within 48 hours. And Whitney, your grandmother would be proud. She believed in education above all else. Outside, Quinn's waiting by my car. You've ruined everything. No, I say, unlocking my door. I just stopped letting you ruin me. The partners at my firm will hear about this. Every law office in the city will hear how you misappropriated trust fund money, committed fraud. Great plan. She grabs my arm. You think you're so clever with your PhD and your justice, but you're still just the family disappointment playing dress-up in academia. I pull out my phone, hitting play on a recording. Quinn's voice fills the air, admitting to hiding the fund, to lying about its depletion. Speaking of clever, I say as her face pales, that's just one recording. I have others. Want to guess how many laws you broke on tape? She releases my arm like it burns. You wouldn't. Try me. Now move away from my car. As I drive away, my phone buzzes with a message from Professor Nolan. Housing contract ready for signature? Welcome to your future. I smile, thinking of Quinn's face when Mr. Roberts mentioned fraud, of Dad's tired surrender, of Mom's tears that came too late. Jessie texts, How did it go? It's done, I reply. The money transfers tomorrow. And Quinn? I think of my sister's threats, her rage, her shattered illusion of control. She just learned what happens when the family disappointment stops disappointing. The airport terminal buzzes with early morning energy as Jessie helps me check my bags. 2 suitcases, 1 carry-on, and a laptop bag containing my entire life's next chapter. Did you pack the power adapters? Jessie asks, scanning my boarding pass. Yes, Mom, I tease. But my smile fades as I spot actual Mom hurrying through the terminal, Quinn trailing behind her. Whitney, Mom calls out, waving frantically. Wait! Jessie steps slightly in front of me. Want me to run interference? No, I sigh. Let's get this over with. Mom reaches us first, out of breath and clutching her purse. You weren't going to say goodbye? I said goodbye last week. Remember? When you told me I was breaking your heart? Quinn catches up, looking distinctly uncomfortable in casual clothes. The partners are furious about the trust fund audit, she says, without preamble. Not my problem. They're questioning my judgment, my integrity. Still not my problem. Mom grabs my hand. Please, honey, we can still fix this. Quinn's firm is threatening to what? I pull my hand away. Review her questionable expenses. Investigate her misuse of educational funds. Again, not my problem. You're being vindictive, Quinn snaps. No, Jessie cuts in. She's being independent. There's a difference. A small voice pipes up. Aunt Whitney. Rose appears from behind Quinn, breaking away to run toward me. I kneel down to hug her, breathing in her familiar strawberry shampoo scent. I made you something, she whispers, pressing a folded paper into my hand. It's a drawing of what looks like me in a graduation cap, standing in front of a building labeled Smart People School. Mom says you're running away, Rose continues, but I think you're running towards something better. Quinn grabs Rose's shoulder. That's enough. We're leaving. Actually, I stand up. I have something for Rose. I pull out a small package. Open it when you get home. Whitney, Mom tries one last time. Think about what you're throwing away. Family is everything. Funny, I check my watch. I don't remember family meaning much when you were hiding my inheritance. The first boarding call for Amsterdam echoes through the terminal. That's me, I say, grabbing my carry-on. Jesse, I'll call you when I land. Whitney, please? Mom's crying again. We love you. Love shouldn't come with conditions, Mom, or price tags. Quinn steps forward. When this fails, when you're drowning in a foreign country with your useless degree, don't come crawling back. I think of the package I gave Rose, a copy of my published paper, with a note explaining that dreams aren't silly, and that sometimes the black sheep of the family is just a wolf who refused to play sheep anymore. Goodbye, Quinn. Good luck with the audit. Jessie hugs me tight. Show them all, she whispers. At the security gate, I turn back one last time. Mom's still crying. Quinn's already on her phone, probably damage controlling her career. But Rose is opening my package early, her eyes wide as she reads the note. 6 hours later, somewhere over the Atlantic, my phone pings with a message from Jessie. You won't believe what happened after you left. Tell me. Quinn's firm called. The trust fund audit triggered a broader financial review. They're suspending her pending investigation. Another message pops up from Paula, Quinn's ex-nanny. Your sister's being investigated by the Bar Association. Something about misrepresented educational expenses. Karma's beautiful. I order a glass of wine from the flight attendant, smiling as I type back to Jessie. How's Mom taking it? Complete meltdown. Keeps saying you destroyed the family. I told her the family destroyed itself when they chose Quinn's greed over your dreams. My phone buzzes again. An email from Rose, sent from her tablet. Dear Aunt Whitney, I read your paper. I don't understand all the big words, but I like that it's about standing up for yourself. Mom's really mad right now, but Dad says she did it to herself. Can I really visit you in Amsterdam? The plane banks east, toward my future. Toward a place where my degree isn't useless, where my dreams aren't impractical, where I don't have to apologize for wanting more than what my family decided I deserved. I text Rose back, of course you can visit, and remember what I wrote. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is believe in ourselves when no one else will. The sun sets outside my window, painting the clouds in shades of victory. Somewhere below, Quinn's carefully constructed world is unraveling, thread by thread. But up here, at 35,000 feet, I'm finally, completely free. My laptop screen fills with Jessie's grinning face during our weekly video call. So, how does it feel to be published in the top academic journal in your field? I spin in my Amsterdam apartment's desk chair, holding up the journal featuring my latest research. Surreal. Professor Nolan says it's already being cited by other scholars. Better than being cited by Quinn's audit investigators? Jessie smirks. Speaking of, I lean closer to the screen. Any updates from home? Jessie's smile widens. Oh, you're going to love this. Quinn's firm didn't just suspend her. They're making her repay all those educational expenses she claimed. And the Bar Association's ethics committee is involved now. How's she taking it? About as well as you'd expect. She's had to downsize her apartment, and no nanny will work for her after what happened with Paula. My phone buzzes with a text from Rose. Mom's crying again because she has to sell her car. Dad says actions have consequences. I got an A on my essay about your paper. Rose is thriving, I tell Jessie. She's already talking about studying abroad when she's older. Unlike her mother, who's been banned from international educational travel, Jessie laughs. Oh, and your mom called me yesterday. I tense. What did she want? To know if you'd received her letter of apology. I did. I glance at the unopened envelope on my desk. Haven't read it yet. You should. Not for her, but for you. A knock at my door interrupts us. Hold on, I tell Jessie, going to answer it. It's Professor Nolan, holding a newspaper. Have you seen this? The headline reads, Prestigious law firm faces scrutiny over trust fund mismanagement. Quinn's name features prominently in the article. Your sister's creative accounting has sparked quite the investigation, he says. But that's not why I'm here. We want you to present your research at the International Conference on Power Dynamics next month. I stare at him. Really? Your work on family power structures and financial manipulation has resonated deeply with scholars worldwide. Sometimes personal experience creates the most compelling academic insights. After he leaves, I return to Jesse's call. You're not going to believe this. I can believe anything at this point, she says. Your revenge turned into legitimate academic success while Quinn's practical career imploded. It's poetic. I finally open Mom's letter. Her handwriting is shaky. Dear Whitney, I was wrong. We were all wrong. Watching you succeed while Quinn faces the consequences of her actions, our actions, has opened my eyes. Your father and I enabled something terrible, and you paid the price. Until you didn't. I'm proud of you, not despite your choices, but because of them. Rose talks about you constantly, about being brave enough to stand up for yourself. She's applying to academic summer camps now. I know we don't deserve forgiveness, but I hope someday we can build something new, something honest. Love, Mom. Well, Jesse asks, watching my face. She's learning, I say quietly. Too late. But she's learning. My phone buzzes again. An email from Paula. Remember those recordings you have of Quinn? The ethics committee would love to hear them. Karma's not done yet. I forward the email to Quinn with one line. Your choice. Like it should have been mine. Jesse raises an eyebrow. Giving her an out? No, giving her a chance to face consequences honestly for once. Her choice. My university email pings. Confirmation of my speaking slot at the conference. The topic, Hidden Inheritance, Power Dynamics in Family Financial Abuse. Perfect timing, Jesse says. Quinn can cite you in her ethics defense. I laugh, then stop as another text comes through. From Quinn herself. I'll submit the recordings myself. You were right. About everything. I'm sorry. Look at that. Jessie whispers. The golden child finally tarnished herself. I look around my apartment, at the academic journals with my name in them, at the conference invitation, at the view of Amsterdam through my window, at the life I built from the ashes of their betrayal. No, I reply to Jessie, she just finally faced the truth. And sometimes, truth is the best revenge. I send one final text to Rose. Remember what I told you about wolves and sheep? Sometimes the wolf isn't the villain. Sometimes she's just the first one brave enough to stop pretending. Rose replies instantly, Mom showed me her letter to you. She cried when I told her I want to be like you instead of her. Is that bad? No, I type back. It's growth. For everyone. I turn back to Jesse's call, to my best friend who stood by me through everything. Want to help me prepare my conference speech? Always, she grins. Let's show them what a useless degree can do.